It's like my futuristic roller skating jam. How are we doing, Aaron? Nice to see you. Kelly, boy, you got all kinds of accounts up here. I love it. Hey, Craig. Please repost the space. We're going to be talking about the continuing resolution. We're going to be talking about our lovely Republican senators that are trying to, thwart some of Trump's picks, whether or not those picks are smoke screens or not, because some of them we don't particularly love. And I still haven't gotten any update on the Surgeon General. I kind of asked about it, but nobody ever gave me any kind of feedback on that. So if anybody's got any thoughts on the one that he named for Surgeon General, I think that they maybe were a vax pusher or something like that. And then I have not been on X all day, so I don't know what's going on with the UnitedHealthcare CEO murder. I did see some conspiratorial things yesterday that Nancy Pelosi was involved, but, I don't know. Maybe she had a lot of United stock. Who knows? Do you know anything about that stuff, Aaron?
No, I haven't heard anything. As a matter of fact, I don't know that much about the assassination as well. Haven't been updating on that. What I have been doing, I don't know if this is of any interest to you, I posted under Senator Mike Lee's point on Social Security that it's basically completely bankrupt. So I posted something which got a lot of seniors very upset. If you're interested, I can let you know more.
Sure. If you want to put it down in the chat, we can certainly talk about it. We're going to kind of float around and talk about, different topics, but feel free to fill us in while we're waiting on a few people.
All right. Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
Okay, here it is. And again, dyslexia. So any errors, I apologize in advance. This is what I said. What I've been saying about Social Security is that the Generation Z and onward should be exempt from paying into it. It is no longer operable and is completely bankrupt. There's no reason why I should be paying into a system that is going to take away my money and give it to people I don't even know. And I will never be able to see a penny of it. Social Security is a slush fund to keep my generation as slaves to an older generation which has failed to keep this country in a moral and cohesive manner. If the generation before me would have been able to keep this country on the straight and narrow, maybe they would have deserved a good retirement. But by the job they've done, ... well, you know the rest. And a lot of people, I think maybe a majority of the people got really mad for what I said there, except two people who both of them were seniors, and they both said they more or less completely agree with my sentiment and what I stated there. Both of them said that they would gladly give up their entire Social Security check, everything. They would give that up just so they know that their grandchildren and children will have a normal future, a normal monetary future. So I, of course, thank them for their point. This, by the way, goes on. Somebody else reposted me stating that my generation either doesn't understand what the older generations had to go through. So what I did was,
did you see Mike Lee's thread about it?
Yes, I did see. Yeah, I read it. I read through the entire thing.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah. So you had one woman who reposted me and stated that, okay, your generation would never know what it was like for our generation and everything. So I don't know if this woman actually realized that I'm not saying things and talking out of my ass. Before I talk about something, I actually do some research to see whatever I can about the subject, right? So precisely because I do know what people in the 1950s had to go through, or people in the 1940s had to go through, precisely because I studied the time period, I know what I'm saying when I say that actually my generation, what they're already suffering right now and what they're going to have to suffer in the future, pales in comparison to what people in the past had to suffer. Pales in comparison. When you destroy the nuclear family, you destroy the entire monetary system, you bring in sexual degeneracy, you monetize our data for big corporations, you poison the waters and food, I'm sorry to tell you, that pales in comparison to you had to go to war. You know why? Because at the very least, when you come back, you have a stable society which can continue on. A society cannot stay stable under such circumstances which the boomers have left us. So it is not even comparable. I'm trying to find the exact post, the exact repost. So
you're saying that what the younger generations are going through is worse, or at least equivalent, though it's not physical, it's not, hot war. It is a systematic, long-term, warfare upon the generations.
What I'm saying is this, that the older generations had it tough, right? We know they had it tough. We also know that they did not have the smartphones, they didn't have the conveniences of modern day, but guess what they did have? They had a nuclear family to go home to. They had people who loved them. They had stable societies. They had religion. They had a lot of things that nowadays just doesn't seem to resonate. Nowadays has been completely diluted. Plus also a population which was majority white, and therefore more or less pretty much a cohesive society. Now what you have is a bunch of illegal immigrants who have diluted the population, especially in California and New York. So when you have that happening, a society cannot stay stable under such circumstances. So whatever hardships, my point is this, whatever hardships they went through, there was at the very least, the institutions, the fundamental institutions were there to take on the burden to keep us going. What fundamental institutions does Generation Z inherit that would keep us going forward?
Well, that's by design, right? They destroyed the nuclear family, and I push back a little bit. I don't think it necessarily had anything to do with race. In fact, they attacked the Black families incessantly because of how strong their families were. So I think that you're right. By design, it was all planned out as far as the institutions are concerned, whether it be the nuclear family or the governmental institutions, education. All of these things have been the medical, all of those things by design were taken down. I don't remember which book it was, but they talk about that is part of the the communist strategy or the Marxist strategy, is to destabilize the society by taking out the institutions that provide the framework.
To be clear, when I said majority white, I didn't mean it that this is a race issue. I stated this, that by diluting the population and taking away from artificially, not just taking away, but artificially inflating the population with people who do not necessarily agree with either the constitutional rights or with the culture, and creating multiple subcultures that subvert the population, that breaks apart the society. What we used to have is that people would come here, and by the way, 1/3 would leave. That is a very big thing that most people don't even know. But 1/3 of the population who came from Ellis Island, who came here to find a better life. First, of course, there was no social state, no social safety net. So 1/3 of them who couldn't make it went back to their home countries. That is one thing. So when you dilute the population in such a way, in an artificial manner, that breaks apart the society. They used to assimilate. Nowadays, we don't see the assimilation. That was my point. It was vast majority was white. It was cohesive. It was largely homogenous, and the society stayed more or less stable through all the civil strife, through all the things that. And by the way, I know Democrats. What about Jim Crow? Dude, that was you guys. Don't blame us. That was you guys. It's like every time I see Democrats bring up Jim Crow, when I say, okay, the 50s were awesome. Well, what about Jim Crow? No, you don't get to blame us for Jim Crow. That was you guys. You did that. You can't go around, you can't punch people in the face and say that, I wonder why people are so upset. I mean, you did that. That's you. Anyway.
So I think that maybe a way to steer away from that so that your point doesn't get muddled is to just say Americans, right? Like, and predominantly that's just the ratio of the population. But you have to think that it didn't matter what culture, American culture you were in, it was American, and that's the part that has been diluted, the American culture.
How did that happen? Well, we need to talk about the exact problem. How did that happen? Through immigration, a lot of it so-called legal after 1964, Ted Kennedy's 1964 immigration bill. Yeah, wait a minute, 1964, 65. I think it was 65. But that immigration bill changed our laws. That what used to be, this is how our laws used to work. That about, I think it was 10%. I think 10% of every nationality or race or whatever will be allowed in here. So let's say we have 100,000 Slovenians, yeah? So you will allow in for that year 10,000 Slovenians. 100,000, take 10% for that and say, okay, only 10,000 Slovenians are allowed in here. If we have 200,000 Russians, then 20,000 Russians will be allowed in here. That's basically how it used to work. The 10% from any country that from their nationality would be allowed into the United States. 1960, Ted Kennedy's immigration bill completely changed that. So, and this is all. I know, Jen, you don't like her, but it doesn't matter. And this is all very well documented in Ann Coulter's book, Adios America. It's worth the read, and yeah, that's basically what I was talking about on the subject of.
I love how you preface it, Jen. I know you don't like her, but
I know. Listen. A good book is a good book. So, yeah. But this is the point. So, by destroying all social and moral cohesion, all societal cohesion, what institutions are we inheriting from the Boomer generation that was gifted to them by their elder generation, that we can now rely on and say that, okay, this is what we're going to gather around. I don't think of that. I can't think of that many things. One thing is religion, which is also lost a lot of its power, but it's still there. So it's like the last hope.
Well, I think that you're seeing a revival as well. So I think you're seeing a lot of young families, young men in particular, that are turning back to religion at a quite an astounding pace. So I know that my little tiny church, they've had like over 400 baptisms in this year. So this is the most they've ever had. They haven't been around that long, but still, you're seeing that kind of come around quite significantly. And it's very interesting that that's going to be the institution that everybody looks to, that has remained intact, relative to the other institutions that have just completely disintegrated. What's up, bro?
Oh, I found it, by the way. This entire time I was looking for what the person said. Do you still want to continue, or are we done?
Yeah, hang on one second. I want to talk to Grow for a second, and
yes,
then
okay,
we'll get to that, and then I definitely want to get into the continuing resolution, and I want to know if anybody's got any updates on that, if they've heard anything. I was going to maybe ask Grok some questions, and figure it out.
Hey, yeah, I was just going to say, if you look at the situation overall, Black people and immigrants, they have been slow, well, especially Black people, the African American community has been slowly drifting away from the Democrat Party. And it's more evident now after November that they have been going to the right. Maybe not, full on Republican, but away from the Democrat Party, because they've always taken them for granted. This is a reason why we saw this huge influx of immigrants who are not of our culture. They're not assimilated, and they'll be easy pickings for the Democrat Party to give them gimmies and hotel rooms and welfare and all the rest of that. The Democrat Party and the left in particular need a permanent underclass. I apologize, I'm driving. They need a permanent underclass to always vote for them, because you're not going to vote for someone that's going to take away your free goodies, your free government cheese.
Well,
I think
and
it was Rush Limbaugh.
I agree with you 100%, but I think that that was one of the things that excited me the most leading up to the election. It was like the last 2 or 3 weeks when I saw all of the Black Americans like going, oh my gosh, like, nah, you're not going to do that. You're I cannot believe like them like getting mad and going, it wasn't white people. It wasn't, these are my fellow Americans. I can see now that these people want everyone to do well, want all Americans to do well. And it was the Democrat Party and the ones in charge that were creating this division. And the division for race. I mean, it's just disgusting. All right.
Well,
go ahead, Gro. Finish up.
No, I was just going to say, and that's one of the reasons they've constantly touted the Hitler narrative, and Trump's a racist, and we have a secret tape that he said the N-word and we're going to release it, and all this other BS that we heard, and they didn't. They couldn't push they couldn't push Kamala on the people because she was not genuine. She wasn't part of the culture that African Americans have had for how long. And like I said, I don't think, as far as the Social Security situation is concerned, Black people have always paid into it. White people have always paid into it. It's always been there for as long as I've been alive and as long as my parents were alive. But to say, well, you're the unlucky ones that don't get it when your time comes. I don't know about that, because it's always been the third rail that you don't want to touch when it comes to election.
Here's the crazy part, though, right? It has to be addressed. Like, I know my whole life, I've always learned, always been told, you're going to pay into this, you're never going to see a dime of it. My parents used to say they were never going to see a dime of it. Well, they're collecting it now, right? I'm not, but when I read through Senator Lee's thread the other day, it just brought up all those old, like, it's just, I would rather have that $30,000 or whatever it is in my pocket. I think they said it was like $20,000 or $30,000. I mean, there used to be caps on it, like low caps. And since they're spending our money, like, they are definitely not good stewards of our money. We know this. Like, in fact, they're probably the worst stewards that we could ever choose. So, I mean, I think that we need to freaking open up Pandora's box and address it, because we could fix it if they would just, come on, guys, go ahead. Tell us you spent all our money. Come on. You know what? We would much rather just forgive you the $21 trillion that you've stolen from us than for you to actively try to kill us. Okay? We choose to forgive your loan or whatever the fuck it is. I mean, some of you are still going to jail, but you'll be okay. You'll probably have a happy life there because you won't have to lie anymore. You just eat, sleep, drink, and poop. Jen, should I let Rich up? He's got only a few followers. I don't know, Rich, are you a cool dude?
Well, I'm picking up my DoorDash right now, so I can't boot his ass right at the moment. So just know I'm walking away from my phone for a minute. But
all right, so I'll let him up and then I'll get on the trigger.
Yeah, get ready.
All right. Well, before I let you up, Rich, I need to do a little bit of announcing, and then I'll let you because I can pay attention to you. All right. So welcome, everybody. It's nice to see you all. Welcome to everyone who is streaming on Rumble, Pill.net, QUX, Kick.com, YouTube, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Facebook. And
But no Facebook.
Well, you did try. Kelly did stream on Facebook. She did a restream and put that out on Facebook the other day. That was brilliant. So welcome to all you guys that are watching on those various platforms, as well as everyone X Live, and of course our listeners and speakers in the spaces. We are going to go through what our beautiful Christmas continuing resolution is going to be. I did ask Grok one question last night because I was having a discussion with my husband, and I was trying to tell him that that's how you teach AI, is by asking it questions and having conversations with it. So we're going to go through that. If anybody has any information, let me know or come up and talk. And then we're going to talk a little bit about all the senators, like our favorite Lady G and Mr. Thune, and what's going on with Pete Hegseth, because that man needs to be Secretary of Defense. Isn't that what he is? Or DOD or whatever. Whatever he's got, whatever Trump put him in for, that's what he needs to be that. He's awesome. Did somebody tell me, did I see somewhere that Rachel Levine is the equivalent of what Pete, the position that Pete Hegseth is up for?
What? No.
Okay, okay.
Pete Hegseth is for Secretary of Defense. Like Rachel Levine is either, I think it's some kind of Assistant Secretary of Health. I recall.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was like, they did like a meme and they put that one and they were like, talk about not qualified. But maybe they were just saying, how is this person qualified for Assistant Secretary of Health and he's not qualified for DOD?
By the way, you want me to read the rest?
Yeah, go ahead. Read the rest, and then we're gonna get to Southern, and then I'm gonna let Rich up while you do that. And,
sure.
And Angela.
Before I do, I just want to say something to grow. You brought up they called us neo-Nazis and everything. I just posted this week something I think you might find funny. I do not recommend anybody else do this unless if they're Jewish. I said that at this point, if you're going to be calling me a Nazi, racist, and all the other things, I am just going to allow you to believe that, and I might double down and start saying some Nazi shit because, yeah, I've absolutely had enough of this. So, unless you're Jewish, I don't recommend do this because then they might use that as, oh, you see, but with me, they can't actually do that. So I guess my Jewish privilege is really playing here. Anyway, so here's
take your Jewish privilege and shove it. I do it all the time. It's called the let them strategy. Oh, you want to call me a racist? Cool. You want to call me a Nazi? Cool. You want to call me a white supremacist? Cool. I really don't.
No, I meant the double down. No. I meant the double down. I meant starting to say things that they would say that's what the Nazis would say. So, like playing into it to see how actually how retarded they actually are. Say things like, you know what? I do think we should start making some concentration camps. You see, somebody else who says that might, oh no, he's a real Nazi. When I say that, oh, Jewish privilege plays a part, so they can't accuse me. But just to see, do they actually believe this? Like, do you actually believe that I believe that? And if you do, I'm going to allow you to believe that because you are an absolute retard. That's what I was getting at. If they call you a racist or whatever, you can laugh at them. If you want to double down, just make sure that you cover your bases first because it might get dangerous. Anyway, okay, so this is what one responded to me on my Social Security post. The elder generation pay into all their working lives and do not touch it until their twilight years, of which the corrupt government has been taking from what they paid into for 40 or 50 plus years. This with the Fed control on inflation, interest, government under the tables deals, backdoor deals, bank bailouts, subprime lending, busting and housing markets, etc., etc. The older generation faced everything you do now, plus more, like gas rationing, inflation, losing homes, nothing different than how it is now, except doing it while raising children, worked and paid into a lying broke system only to be blamed for how things are now. Statements like this prove you have no idea yet what it was like growing up through the generations that America was making progress, quote unquote. It did not happen out of thin air. People worked for the pride of being able to do so and do what they believe to be building for the future generations a better America. Free flow of information was not a thing. No computers, limited news on TV, busy making ends meet and thinking your government was for the people. It was not though.
Hey, Aaron, let me stop you right there. So is this him responding to you?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay.
Somebody else. No, this is somebody else responding to me.
Okay.
All right. And this is what I responded to that. You all heard what that person said. Okay, this is what I responded. In the first part of your statement, you admit that the entire thing is a scam, but yet you want me to pay into the scam because the older generation was forced to. No thanks. So, in other words, you admit it's a scam, but yet you want to force me to pay into the scam. Like, we all know it's a scam. Why would you want your grandkids to also pay into the scam? It doesn't make any sense. Once you admit it's a scam, you say, stop spending, stop putting your money in there because it's a scam. No, you must continue because you know, they still want their money back. I understand that. I'm not attacking anybody who wants their money back. I'm just saying I don't see why I should be also paying into it once everybody admits it's a scam, right? So this is where I continue. Next, do not lecture me on how the older generation grew up. I studied the time period, the struggles of the older generation.
I love you, but why am I listening to your drama?
Why am I listening? Why? Because we started first the space. We didn't know exactly. We were still waiting to fill up. So this is basically so.
Well, so from my understanding, like when I was learning politics, right, a lot of what ends up happening is like one generation votes for something and then they'll vote against it and they'll only vote for their specific category. And that's why we have a constant influx because the younger generation doesn't vote as much either. So it's usually the older generation that ends up voting in today's time. So what ends up happening with the policy curves is ends up going strategically for one like age range, basically. That's why like Social Security is the way it is. Like even though everyone hates Social Security, the people who are finally getting it are not going to vote against it because they still want those because they've been paying into it despite it being a completely screwed up system. And everyone can recognize that it has these flaws. But it's just because everyone wants to prioritize themselves instead of the overall. They're not willing to take the oh, that's kind of bad for me, but it's gonna be better for us overall. It's more about prioritizing myself and my well-being over other people, because that's one thing with like handout culture is why I'm like disturbed by it. But that's kind of
it's all by design. And welcome, Rich. Thank you for not being a troll and a poop porn person, because we get those sometimes. But yeah, no, that we have to. There's a shift going on that we have to capitalize on.
Imagine if this random person really did like poop porn or something, and he was like, "Oh my God, how does she know?" Right? Like,
man,
I don't think we should say that to random people.
I'm scarred, Rich. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
There's a trick that like trolls do in here. They come in and they will spam the nest with awful pictures. it's not fun. And so,
Oh, dude, trust me, man. I'm from the generation that does that, dude. I know what a troll is.
yeah.
Trust me, I've done my fair share of my days
a lot of like
kids and messing around with people.
2 girls, 1 cup kind of thing in our
Yeah.
nest, and
God.
there's like 100 of them. It's like impossible to delete. So Kim's very scarred from that experience. So that's why she was nervous to allow you up. And then I just made a terrible joke. So yeah.
You're good.
Welcome.
You're good. And trust, I understand. Like my generation's gonna be the biggest trolls, man, and I'm sorry for that. But
I am here
it's what
for
we do.
those. Listen, I'm here for a smart troll. Like I am. President Trump's trolls are my favorite in the whole wide world because he is the top troll. But the gross, but not like stupid, juvenile. I mean, like do better.
Like what happened to like Peterson the other day when he was trying to do his thing? Like a whole group went in there. I think they sprayed fart gas and were protesting him in a like peaceful setting. It's like, come on, guys. Like I can get the protest and even being vocally loud, but like coming all the way down to like disturb the peace and like the organization of people trying to come together and like have a conversation is kind of not valuable or not very progressive if you're trying to, make some common ground. It's a way better at like pointing fingers and I like today.
That's why we're really hopeful, right? So Southern, I'm gonna come to you right next. But I did want to say welcome, Rich, and we're happy to have you. We are going to get into talking about the continuing resolution, which I think the Social Security conversation will lead very well into that because, not only are they spending at a ridiculous level, but there is no money in the Social Security. Like it is going out as quickly as we're putting it in there, and they've basically made every move to destroy Social Security.
Well, it's disturbing to me because look, we are smart enough to know how to make more money, right? But instead, we set up a pool fund that says Social Security, and we won't touch it. But we're gonna take all of our hands and pull out of it, and then not reinvest into it, and basically make it where it's a seeping gap that we have to constantly be worried about, and hope the more hope is less people get to it, which is really
well. What we need
terrible.
to do is we need to refill the coffers, which we can do smartly. There are some easy remedies that will get us back to where we need to be. Don't you think so, Southern?
Yes. We also have to remember, I'm a business owner. We have to match Social Security for employees. So they're actually getting double the money. And people don't realize that. And so that should have been a fair market opportunity, but we would have been better off in the stock market.
Well, we've got to put some policies in place that says you absolutely cannot touch this money. In fact, we're going to have a third party invest it because the government holding on to our money for our later years is the most asinine thing I have ever heard of. I mean, it is absolutely stupid that we are giving these guys essentially trillions of dollars in slush fund, right? I mean, that's basically because they're just taking it out. They just take it. What happened to them not being able to take it? Because I'm pretty sure that when we made this thing, they weren't allowed to touch it. Is it like the Glass-Steagall?
It was I forget what it was exactly, but there was a time period where they chose to go into it and they never recapped it. It was like a critical moment where it's like, oh, we need to reallocate economics, but then they never reclosed it, and that's kind of why it stood open because they kept on switching back to it and be like, oh, we are gonna pull from this whenever we need it. This is a safety fund now, and we're gonna use.
And then it became like a freaking a treasure chest of heroin or something. I mean. They just basically went in there. I think there's been movies where they put IOUs in there and they take money, they take a little bit of money and then they put more IOUs and then by the end of it, it's all paper. Imagine that.
I'm drawing a blank. I'm trying to remember. Are we still being taxed on Social Security? The people who are getting it, are they still being taxed?
Oh yeah. Currently, yes. Trump wants to get rid of that.
Okay, good. Good. Do you know what the average check that people are getting that's been paying
Like
in
it's like $1,400 or something.
Exactly. There was I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. I'm a little spaced out today. I've been going since about 4 this morning. I can't remember his name, but he was talking about it, and he's like one step away from a billionaire. He said, "My wife and I each get checks at $5,000. We don't need it." So in my head, I'm going, "Well, stop it. You don't need the money." They almost, I wish they could put parameters around it, because I'm just going to tell you what's just real quick here without going into detail. I'm in Western North Carolina. We have people who've lost their homes. They're living in tents on their property. They have to pay their mortgage payment and their taxes.
There's been no, like, you remember how they did the over COVID, they kind of did the moratorium on the mortgages, right? And they had funds going and things like that.
I don't know about mortgages. I know they did it for renters.
They did it for mortgages too.
Okay. We just paid
but,
out.
But I mean, you had to apply for it. I mean, you felt
okay.
And they did, I think, in like 3-month cycles. But at least they offered that. They're not even offering that to the hurricane victims. And what has gone on as far as the spending that they've done not on the American people? I mean, I was just watching a X Live today, or a TikTok video that was on X. And it was this girl in Maine talking about the housing where they've got illegals that they're paying for their house for 2 years. It's furnished. They pay their electric and the water. They have no bills for 2 years. And I mean, look at what's going on.
How that happened was Blackstone, another big players out there, went out. Remember, part of the pricing problem we have now in real estate is also because of them. They went out and found as many 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. And for each bedroom, they're getting like $2,000 per person. So if they've got 3 bedrooms, that's $6,000 a month. They're paying our money into Blackstone and others. I absolutely was furious when I saw that, because I'm going, why are they buying up all the 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses? And that's why prices went up, of course, at inflation and Biden's problems. People can't buy homes. It's unbelievable.
That gets into the continuing resolution and the fact that we are not making sure that our government is balancing the budget. The fact that they haven't balanced the budget and done 12 appropriation bills since 1996 is absolutely unacceptable. And we, as the taxpayers, have to demand this little stint here with this new continuing resolution that we're going to get for Christmas. Yay. Okay. This needs to be either the last one or the second to last one. Okay. This 119th Congress, if they don't pass all 12 appropriations bills and balance the budget, okay, especially with the Doge coming in and all that stuff that's going to happen, they're going to take it down to the studs. Well, when you take it down to the studs, that means you can balance the damn budget. So that's got to be something that we demand. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. If you don't do it, you will be primaried, and that's the end of it.
Amen, Cam. You are up and ready.
I mean, all we have to do is continue to say that. I can't wait when my rep is home over the Christmas break. I'm bringing Jen in there with me. We're gonna sit down with him and be like, listen, your primary opponent this past time, because this is the first time you've ever had a primary opponent, he got 37% of the votes. I will find someone that will knock your ass out of there if you continue to vote against what we want. And if you vote against President Trump and his agenda, you're out. Like, there is no wiggle room.
Yeah, Nancy Mace is coming out saying she may run for senator in South Carolina and primary Lindsey Graham, and I'm all for it. I'm in for it. Also, Joni Hertz is going around bad-mouthing Pete Hegseth. I don't like.
Oh, hold on, Southern. We have somebody who's been running for 3 years for Lindsey Graham seats. He's a veteran. He is an amputee. He's a really amazing candidate, Thomas. I don't know if Thomas is in here.
Thomas Murphy.
Yeah, so Thomas Murphy. So yeah, I think we should look at that because like he has put so much time and effort
and he's
into
a vet.
running.
Awesome.
That like, yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, we need
I just
Nancy
want to
and-
make sure that like Nancy Mace, like I love it, like she's awesome and all, right? Don't get me wrong, but like
we need her in Congress.
He is literally dedicated so much time and effort into putting together and standing up a campaign to be ready to run against Lindsey Graham that I think like we need to have a conversation on here before we go jump in behind candidates.
Okay.
Even though Nancy Mace is great, like I'm not saying anything against Nancy Mace. Like I'm also trying to be fair to Thomas.
Yeah, they're also talking to her about running for governor in South Carolina.
That I could
do something like that.
Yeah, I tell you, she's a fireball. I love her. She's a fireball.
Yeah, but you know what? I tweeted at her the other day because or she had sent a text. She was one of the many robo herpy texts that I get. But she was talking about how she was standing up for no men in women's bathrooms and things like that. And I copied her text and I put it in my I put it in a tweet and I said, I would absolutely love to donate to you, but I will not ever donate to a candidate through WindRed again, because I did it once for President Trump and I love him still, but I have to have my phone, like if it's not a number in my contacts, it has to go straight to voicemail because I get 40 phone calls a day. I cannot get rid of them. And texts, my texts are out of control. I miss important texts all the time because I get up to 55 texts a day. Okay. So I want to file charges on WindRed because my son was grounded from his phone and 55 texts a day. Okay. So I want to file charges on WindRed because my son was grounded from his phone. And so he had to call me from somebody's phone that I didn't have their number. And I didn't pick up the phone. It went straight to voicemail. And it wasn't an emergency, thank goodness. But had it been, I wouldn't have been there to help my son. And that really pisses me off.
I think you should be able to donate and opt out. They need to offer that option.
I mean, I spend 15 minutes every day responding stop to text messages.
No, WindRed is fucking fucked up. And honestly, like it was a huge point of like a lot of contention over the years, and they have done candidates dirty, and the amount of money that they keep for themselves.
I mean, I know so many people that
just because they're on our side doesn't make everybody equal.
Are they?
You know what I'm saying?
Are they?
Right? Like I think like maybe like yay we won, but like I don't know. There's kind of a couple shit bags.
Well, I think
ladies,
before
the room gets too big, can I be selfish? And Jen, can I ask you to help fight for me just a little bit? There's an a-hole on X who decided to splash an entire post about me. I don't even know this dude, but he's trying to slander me and say that I'm a vaccine grifter. Hello, what?
All right, hold on. Let me stop you there. How much interaction does the post have?
Good question. I blocked him already, so now I don't know.
Okay,
so listen, do you know how many times I get called grifter? I get called like they're like Southern brought it up the other day that they're out there, somebody out there talking about we build the wall and stealing money, right? It might seem like a huge deal to you, right? And believe me, like it has taken me a very long time to get to this point, right? And you want to defend yourself, right? Because it's not true, right? Gosh darn it, these people say things that are not true. Except like by you stooping to their level to go and defend yourself against baseless claims.
No, I'm not going to
is
defend
just
myself, but I
giving-
want to
hold on,
report
hold on,
his
hold on,
ass.
hold on. Is just giving that person, right? Like more ammo, and it's drawing more attention to the post and eyes to the post that never even would have paid attention because it was coming from a no-name person, right? But because you brought attention to it, and obviously if it hurts her so badly, there must be something there, right? Like that's the mentality of it. So but you even like it's so baseless. So like you could defend yourself immediately. You could prove that they're wrong. I could have all the trolls go out and attack them, but you're just promoting them to a position that they never would have been in had like you just left the post out there to go into infamy. And if anybody ever brought it up, then you can defend yourself.
She's so right. Definitely
And-
just block them, and that's it.
And Angela, I saw that yesterday and blocked him. He's low. He doesn't have a lot of followers. I blocked him.
The good people know
Yeah.
that it's bullshit.
Yeah, we just
Right, the good people
yes.
will go out and defend you and go out and block them for you and report the post as false information, which maybe you all should do. If you see it, report it.
And the good news, Angela, I'm sitting here looking at your December 4th text. If the vaccine worked, we wouldn't see this increase in excess death about COVID and above a normal flu year. All they have to do is look at your timeline and everything on it. Unfortunately, I got caught up with a couple bad actors. And then my husband looked at me. He goes, "You're trying to educate them to change behavior. You're in a vicious circle. That's the definition of crazy." And I just looked at him and I went, "You're right. These people don't deserve our attention. They're doing it because they just want to be that person." And I got to be honest with you.
Or they're getting paid.
Yes, that's going to be my next thing. But bottom line is, we don't need the stress.
So what I would have to say to that is like, there is going to be people who are trolling and they're literally trying to push like psyops to some degree. But there's actually a handful of people out there that genuinely believe this stuff. And it's like, especially because how the Democratic Party have chosen their politics on identity politics and things like that. They are holding this conceptual moral high ground. So they think they're automatically in the right. And then everything that they're seeing that is like contradictory to them right now is wrong and flawed.
Yeah,
and
we
which
don't.
is
We
really
don't.
screwed up for our system.
We don't pay homage. We don't even give them our energy for a minute. Like we did that for a while, and it just there is no reason. Like
it's taxing, dude. It's a lot.
Well,
like,
but it's designed to be like Jen's not wrong. They are literally getting paid to sow division and to trigger people, and half the time they don't even believe that stuff, and it derails.
I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm sorry. I've had my hand up for a little while. I don't know if y'all can see it.
I'm sorry. Yes, I was going to come to you. Sorry.
It's funny. I just had to point this out. You're sort of accusing them of the same thing they're accusing y'all of. It's a little ironic, but I just wanted to bring it back real quick to you said.
Who did we accuse of being grifters?
No. You said they're getting paid. Like they're saying you're a paid actor, and they might be a paid actor. It's going back and forth. It's a little funny. I'm not saying y'all are.
I have to agree with him on that one. It's just like
but we don't get paid though.
That's the
funny
but
part.
I don't think
they actually get paid.
They might not. I don't know. They might just be assholes.
No. It's traceably. It's traceably get paid.
What I don't think that's the entire case though, because some of them really are like they're product. Like if you want to have like there's paid ones, sure, but there's ones that are subroots to that, and these ones are misguided, and these are misguided or at least not willing to understand because of their own superposition on these scenarios.
Well, Right. I just wanted to bring back real quick to, you were saying about the budget and the Doge. Like, I have all faith that Elon is going to be able to balance the budget. That's not going to be an issue. But the national debt, that is what we got to worry about. But
yeah, well, we got to balance the budget first, and then we can worry about the debt.
Absolutely. And just for the title of the stream, my phone's about to run out of batteries. I just wanted to get that there real quick. With the healthcare CEO murder, assassination, whatever, it looked like an assassination to me. But anyway, was it United Health, the company he worked for, United Health or something? I just heard that they rejected more claims than like any other insurance conglomerate. And
yes,
I thought that was.
They do. They have the highest rejection of claims. The DOJ was already investigating the CEO, which unfortunately was the gentleman that was killed, and a couple other senior members. He was at a hotel in New York. He lives in Minnesota. I'm in the medical industry. This is he walked across to the street to go to the Hilton for the investors meeting and was shot. And he's been there since Monday. So this wasn't some random shooter. This was some scheduled activity going on. My concern is with the security risks, because they were, his ex-wife said he's been getting a lot of threats, and they're seeing that across with the insurance companies and things like that. Normally, I work with a lot of CEOs in medical. They have bodyguards when they travel. It's a requirement. The company pays for it. He didn't have one, which I found very odd.
His bodyguard must have had the day off. I wonder who wrote the schedule.
I don't know. But
I got a joke about that though.
Bodyguards day. He doesn't have security day today. They only have it for investor meetings and other big meetings.
What's your joke?
Y'all want to hear a joke?
Yeah.
So I felt like a sinner because I was laughing at the assassination of that healthcare CEO, but then I remembered that sin is a pre-existing condition.
I'm sorry.
That was good. I was expecting something really bad.
That was great. I loved it.
Yeah. I'm going to steal that.
That's great. What's Mr. Philby? I know you like that. And Thinker's up here. What's up, lady? Mr. Philby.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hello. Thanks for giving me the mic, y'all. I got to run. My phone's about to die. Have a good one.
By the way, it's an AI that he was using that was denying 90% of the claims that were coming through. And he continued to use the AI knowing that it wasn't working properly and denying 90% of the claims.
Oh my gosh. Mr. Philby.
You just called on the thinker, so.
No, I said hi to the thinker. I said, I'm going to go to Mr. Philby and hi to the thinker.
Well, I'm not going to get in front of her.
Oh, fine. Hi, thinker. Go.
Hi, Mr. Philby. And hi, Kim and Jen and Dr. Angela. Oh, my God. But anyway, I'm in the car driving home from work and saw the space and heard the conversation with Dr. Angela and did hear the joke as well. But yeah, this CEO, the company is one of those modern companies, like any company. They have AI and everything. And so even when like people are filling out applications to apply for a company, there's AI that will reject their applications and resumes. So they're using the same type technology. It's called in adjacent markets or in adjacent ways, where you take a piece of technology and you use it for different use cases. So he has a lot of interesting things under his tenure. But one of the things is it's not just him, right? So he's the CEO of UnitedHealthcare. Then you got Andrew Whitty, who's the CEO of the United Health Group, which UnitedHealthcare is under that. So it's a lot of people involved. in this type of situation. He's the one that's holding the bag, but he literally has been in a lot of insider trading. And last night, I'm gonna land on this.
Oh my gosh, did she cut out?
Nancy Pelosi.
There you are. Oh yes, that's
Yeah.
it. That's what I want to hear
Nancy,
about.
yeah, Nancy Pelosi, when UnitedHealthcare had a breach, a cybersecurity breach, February 21st of this year, and right around that time, like February the 12th, February the 21st, February the 26th, Nancy Pelosi and her husband Paul.
Oh my God, she's getting attacked.
No, this is killing me.
I'm like, people keep dialing my phone. It's like my husband keeps.
You need to
dialing my
put that
phone.
do not disturb on, girl.
I can't do that with my husband. He'd be like, whatever. But people, so February 12th, Nancy Pelosi bought stock in Palo Alto Networks. And on the 12th and the 21st, and right after this hack, which was on the 21st. So within like a days, on the same day, and right after it happened. The reason why I say this is UnitedHealthcare hired Palo Alto to fix their cybersecurity breach. So they so happen to buy stock in them. Some people say it's a coincidence, but we know that Nancy Pelosi does a lot of insider trading as well. And so right before the cyber breach, Brian Thompson, first time selling some of his shares, sold, I think it was, I want to say it was 15 million. No, I don't want to say 151 million, but he sold millions of dollars. I think it was $15.1 million in shares right before the cyber attack. So he gets his hands into a lot of things in the cookie jar is what I'm saying. So he doesn't have a stellar or an stellar track record when it comes to judgment, making decisions. Definitely get investigated by Department of Justice, on some of those situations and things of that nature. So he had a lot on him.
Right. So let me go back just a little bit with the Nancy Pelosi thing. So she bought it before the breach, or she bought Palo Alto.
Yeah.
She bought Palo Alto after the breach because she knew that they were going to be handling.
No, facts. Let me tell you the facts. The facts. The breach was on the 21st of February. They bought some stock on the 21st. They bought some a few days before the 21st. Then the breach, what happened, the breach started February the 14th. It took 7 days for UnitedHealthcare to detect the breach. So within that 7 days, they bought stock. 14th, couple days before, 21st, and even some days after. So her husband and her, they put call options on it too. I think Nancy had 20 call options on hers. He had 50 call options. And then Brian, a few days before they detected the breach on the 21st is when it was detected. He sold some shares of his stock in UnitedHealthcare. So the point I'm making is in Palo Alto, that's the company that Brian used to hire to fix the security breach. And we done some more digging. Nancy's buddy named Vin Roberti, Roberti, who was been with her for many, many years, running her fundraising groups. He has personally donated to her fundraisers, and he has been over her fundraisers and is called her lobbyist for her fundraising groups. This guy, Vin Roberti, went and got a job at Palo Alto. And I'm going to land it right there.
Why isn't Nancy Pelosi in prison?
That's going to change there, Pat. Don't you worry. She's going to jail for sure.
See, Nancy Pelosi, when she's Speaker of the House, I didn't know this. There's actually another layer above her where things are messy. They don't know if they want to do an antitrust. They're trying to figure stuff out. She's in those meetings. Then she goes back to her desk. She decides what gets out on the floor. So she controls the ball. That is insider trading. That is, I'm sorry, we might be in the world treason. This is insane because her trades you can see and all her call puts, you can see all that. They put in $250,000 and they made a fortune. But there is no way, because I'm just so sick of all this.
I mean, it is blatant insider trading. I mean, Martha Stewart went to jail for far less.
She was told by somebody that something was happening, so she sold her stock. That's what she went to prison for. Nancy Pelosi is controlling the ball.
Oh, 100%. Jen, are you back? Are you good? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, you're good. Okay.
By the way, it was probably treasonous before someone created a bot to automatically follow Congress's, especially Nancy Pelosi's stock trades. So there's literally a whole cult of people who literally just mirror her trades and make all kinds of money.
But I thought that she didn't have to report for 45 days or something like that. That you can't really, I mean, you sort of can follow it, but you can't follow it all the way because they don't have to disclose until a certain time. But that makes it even worse. It's like you're getting the information about these companies that no one else is getting. Okay, that's insider information. Okay, and then you're going over here and you're trading in the industry, like the industry that you're regulating. I mean, I know that video with Matt Gaetz where he was walking down the hallway with somebody else. I think it was a journalist. It's a documentary, and I don't know what it's called, but I want to see it. But he's going to each door, and he's like, "This guy's, and he's on the energy committee, and he buys and sells, and has made tens of hundreds of millions of dollars by doing that. It's just ridiculous." Mr. Philby, you got something to say about that?
Are you sure there's nobody else you'd like to call and ahead of me?
I did not call on anybody else ahead of you. I tried to call on you first.
I'm just making sure because I want to deprive somebody that's not American mission their opportunity to speak.
Wait a minute, are you being yucky? I'm pretty sure I tried to call on you and you told Thinker to go.
You're such a martyr. Chris is Mr. Martyr. That's what he is.
Last I heard, she was part of American Mission.
Catholic guilt right there.
I was going to say Catholicism.
You backdoored Thinker into our affiliate group. So
we were talking about the United Healthcare CEO assassination, right?
Richard, I know you're new here, okay, but like Mr. Philby's gonna go now. He's like OG now. Okay, Philby, go.
Right to that. Sorry.
So Dr. Angela, I have a little piece of advice.
Sir.
When you run across accounts like that, I think that you should just picture a hot fireplace poker enema and remember them in that regard.
And then block.
That's it. That sounds a bit violent, sir. I'm trying to take Jen's advice with steadfast I don't know, appreciation. Shove my hurt in my back pocket and move on.
It's a peaceful hot poker.
I didn't say that you had to use it. I just said picture it.
Well, and that's the complete opposite of what I usually would say. So that.
I know. It's why I'm sitting here going, fuck. I actually asked you because I wanted to hear feisty. Thank you, Jen.
Best advice she could have given you.
Anyway, Jen's right, but I'm all for.
I think I'm rubbing off on her because I'm always telling people, don't go out and get, in all these people's feet.
Jen's right, but your suggestion sounded more fun.
No, I love you, Kim, but honestly, it came from the We Build the Wall stuff where I was getting, not even going lie, my phone was going off every second with another story of how I was a horrible person and all this other shit. And I was like, you know what? I can't even defend myself against this now. So I just let it go. It is what it is. Let them think that, right? If I truly believe that the most important thing is how God views me, then let him.
Well, there's ignorant and there's stupid. Now, see, ignorant people can be taught. Stupid people, there's no hope for. So I have a feeling that the people that we run across that do things like were done to you, they fit into the latter category.
You can't fix stupid.
Can't fix stupid. I hate Bumble.
Anyway.
Well, what thank you.
I just appreciate that Dr. Angela is here in our space. God bless you and thank you for participating.
Oh, before we move on, Dr. Angela, is the voting still open?
Good question.
Yes.
I don't know. Let me take a look. I'll give you an update in a minute.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely put the post out there because if everybody's not aware, if you haven't heard me say this a million times, first of all, please repost the space, bottom right-hand corner, click on the bubble, then click on the arrows going around in a square and hit repost. If you want, you can quote post, try and follow up with a heart for that. And if we're not following you, we'll definitely follow you. Might be after the space, but we'll get it done. So I also want
to it appears they're still accepting votes.
Yes. So what's going on is that RFK Jr. and the Trump team have created these two different websites. One is nomineesforthepeople.com, and we've got several of our great friends that have been working side by side with us for the last 2.5 years to get President Trump elected. And they are nominated, and you get the chance to go out and vote for them. So do that. You have to create a username and password, but that works not only for that site, but there's also another site, which is policiesforpeople.com. And there you can actually propose policies. You can vote on other people's policies that they've put forth. You can also comment and have input. So these are two different tools that our government has created, or the new administration has created, so that they can crowdsource and get the people involved in being governed by themselves.
Jen, you got a hot mic just in case you don't say anything you don't want us to hear.
Sorry, thank you.
Jen, I think Jen went shopping today. Hey, Bumble.
Hi. So, hope everybody's doing good today. I have some insight on the CEO's murder, particularly the path of flight after the murder. Now, we seem to know that he was being guided by somebody on the phone prior to committing the murder. And then after the murder, the flight of choice was down to Central Park, which leads to the Alice in Wonderland statue, which is an opening for the tunnels beneath New York that accesses the slaughterhouse tunnels that they obviously somebody who has a great deal of knowledge about the tunnels. And I mention that because I believe it's none other than the Manhattan Madam Hillary Clinton. That's right. I think Hillary Clinton orchestrated this man to commit this murder. And I believe that Hillary Clinton has struck once again.
I think that's probably the most awesome theory I've heard yet, and probable. I mean, I'm saying like 75% probable.
Why? Why would she do it?
Because she's knee deep in insurance fraud up to her eyeballs.
Somebody talking.
Breaking. Hold on just a second, Bubble. Breaking news: David Sachs has just been named a crypto czar.
Yes. No mames, güey. That's pretty funny, actually.
Listen, I mean, he was one of the first ones to take the red pill of common sense back over to the the light side. So I wanted to have we asked Grok about what Grok thinks about this UnitedHealthcare?
Oh, can I tell you what my AI said, or you want to do Gronk?
No, you can tell us what your AI said.
Okay. So pretty much it. So on the bullet it said deny, defend, and depose. Before this, he was already receiving phone calls for death threats, and as well as there's been a lot of people starting to criticize the public healthcare, is what mine says. Which is I can go into detail if you want me to read it just like word for word, because it does quote a lot of different articles.
Go for it.
Okay. Brian Thomas, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, was fatally shot on December 4th, 2024, in a targeted attack outside the New York Hilton Midtown Hotel in Manhattan. He was in the city to attend UnitedHealth Group's annual investors conference. The assailant, described as a marked individual dressed in dark clothing, approached Thomas from behind and fired multiple shots before fleeing the scene on an electric city bike. Thomas was transported to the Mount Sinai West Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. That's from the Wall Street Journal. The investigator discovered that the bullet casing the scene were inscribed with the words deny, defend, and depose. These terms are reminiscent of the insurance industry's criticized strategy of delay, deny, defend, which involves rejecting claims to maximize profits. This has led to authorities to consider that the motives behind the killing may be linked to public resentment toward insurgent practices. Thomason's estranged wife, Palut, revealed that he had received threats prior to the incident, possibly related to the coverage disputes. She expressed profound grief over his death, describing him as an incredibly loving, generous, talented man, and a devoted father to their two sons. The New York, that one's from the People. The New York Police Department has released images of the suspect and is actively seeking public assistance in identifying and apprehending the individual. A $10,000 reward has been offered for information leading to the suspect's capture. Despite these efforts, the assailant remains at large and investigation is ongoing. And that's on Reuters. Thompson's death has sent shockwaves through the healthcare industry and has drawn attention to the contentious practices of healthcare insurers UnitedHealthcare. And Thompson's leadership had faced criticism for policies perceived as barriers to necessary medical care, including the denial of claims and use of algorithmic to limit payouts. These practices have been a source of frustration for both patients and healthcare providers. The wake of Thompson's assassinations, there has been increased scrutiny of the health insurance industry and its executives. The incident has highlighted the growing public content in insurance companies' practices, prompting discussion about potential reforms to address these systematic issues. Authorities continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding Thompson's death, exploring both his professional and personal life for potential leads. The healthcare community and the public await further developments as law enforcement work diligently to bring the perpetrator to justice. That's what mine says.
Yeah, those are the actual 3 words they use to deny claims or delay claims. But that could be a false thing, whatever you call it.
False flag.
Yeah, I don't know if it's trying to do a narrative. That's the one thing that was usually gets me questionable on some AI.
I wonder if COVID's tied into this with all the monies that floated about as well.
Well, I was just wondering, coincidentally, I just saw the news that came up yesterday, and it was saying that Blue Cross Blue Shield anthem for 3 states was going to start denying claims for anesthesia that went over what they felt was the recommended. I'm sorry, it's so sick. Okay, so if you needed anesthesia, they have set amount of time for you to have anesthesia during surgery. If it goes behind that set amount of time, they would deny it. And that was yesterday. And today, the news came out, they did a total reversal on it. I was just astounded they would even consider doing that. I mean, if you have if it turns into complications, oh, I'm sorry. Either we're going to have your anesthesia pulled or we're just not going to pay for it.
Oh my God.
Isn't that horrible?
It's insane. Anesthesia. Yeah, there is such a science to how much anesthesia a patient needs, time the surgery, and they're watching the clock when they're doing that. That is unbelievable.
Maybe they wanted to make sure their CEO didn't get, unalived. That's why they backed it out.
I missed that. Sorry. I was doing something.
That was terrible.
I thought so. You're awfully quiet.
What did you say? Can you just repeat it for me?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well,
just the last part. Just the last part.
I was going to bring it up to you yesterday, Kim, that Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield over 3 states, which I was one of those states, they said they were going to deny paying, reimbursing for the anesthesia during a surgery if that anesthesia went beyond how long that surgery was supposed to go. So what I was saying,
you're kidding.
No. So if you ended up having complications, they wouldn't pay for the anesthesia because it went beyond the set time. Well, now they've totally reversed it. Right? So just coincidentally, now we're saying
this is a clear example of stupid. I mean, everybody handles anesthesia.
You cut in on the punchline, Kim. Let her give you the punch.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was just thinking that this is the reason, that they didn't want their CEO unalive, so they thought they'd back it out real quick.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't think anyone deserves to die like that,
No, not in the slightest.
No, we're not saying that. No.
No.
Can I add something briefly before I lose connection?
Yes, add your color, Bumble.
Okay, somebody asked before when I spoke, why would Hillary Clinton want this man dead? Well, I don't know of anybody else who has such an affinity for whacking whistleblowers. Do you?
I mean, maybe she taught Nancy everything she knows. I'm
Yeah,
sure Nancy's probably like up there with her as far as
yeah, there's been a lot of people unalived around Hillary. Bumble has a big point there.
Oh, I don't doubt it. You know what? There could be that many people around Nancy too. She just hides it better. What do you think, Jeff?
I think Hillary Clinton's had a lot of professionals around her in her life, including the Colombian cartel. But my question is for Dr. Angela and Southern. You guys, I think that UnitedHealthcare is one of the largest insurers for the school, for the education, for the Department of Education. And I believe the whole state of Texas uses UnitedHealthcare. Is there a chance that maybe one of the other companies is getting their throat cut in the hedge fund that this gentleman was in charge of? And is it a possibility that maybe they're a little bit spiteful? But I think that Southern kind of hit the nail on the head with the 3-phase engraving on the bullet is purposely put there so that I hate to say that it would be somebody that lost a family member and they are just being vindictive.
Or to defer the blame. Mm-hmm.
Yep, red herring.
So to your point, Jeff, sure, it could be another. In fact, I'll go back and look up. I was in a room yesterday and I used Grok, and Grok came up with 7 different potential reasons why someone might have tried to what are different reasons why somebody might try, right? Grok came up with 7 different reasons. And sure, competitors were one of them. But something somebody mentioned this morning was really interesting. He was about to walk into the annual stockholders or annual investors meeting, right? I want you to think about what we all know has been happening this past year with regard to health. It's declining drastically. Claims are up. And in fact, many of their own employees may have had issues on the job or died in the past couple of years, and workers' comp and other issues. So who's to say it wasn't an issue of having to disclose losses, right? Who knows? There's so many things. But guys, with this Pelosi theory, okay, again, I don't know. I just looked up. Based on the search results provided, there are several indications that Nancy Pelosi's family, particularly her father, Thomas D'Alessandro Jr., had connections to organized crime and the Italian-American mafia. FBI file. The FBI had an extensive file on Thomas D'Alessandro Jr., which revealed his connections to local mafia figures. The file was declassified in 2017 and showed that D'Alessandro's operation was connected or linked to organized crime, mob connections. Several sources, including Charles Johnson's blog and the Washington Times, mentioned that D'Alessandro's political machine was tied to local mafia figures. Johnson writes that D'Alessandro's operation was linked in public to local mafia figures, blah, blah, blah. Nancy Pelosi's involvement. As a child, Nancy Pelosi helped her father with his political activities, including stuffing envelopes and answering phones at their family home, which was a hub for political activity. This exposure likely influenced her understanding of politics and her father's relationships. According to Simplists, President John F. Kennedy ordered the FBI to investigate Thomas D'Alessandro Jr. in 1962, likely due to concerns about his connections to organized crime. So doesn't that go for full circle when his daughter is now serving in the United States Congress, and now RFK, the nephew of JFK, is stepping in to, I don't know, help clean up some of that stuff? Wild.
It is.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, you hit the nail right on the head with that one. You see that the whole thing is collapsing, and the Democrat Party this last year and a half has imploded on itself. So we're in for some rough times, guys. So everybody buckle
Well,
up.
and
I think
also
it's going
they've
to
got
be.
BlackRock, Vanguard is the largest shareholders in this company. And Larry Fink and them are interesting cats. Let's just put it that way. This is merger problems with UnitedHealthcare Group and Change Healthcare. Yeah.
Well, and don't forget
yeah.
it. So I saw something the other day where, oh man, they were talking about, shit, I just lost it. Hang on. I'll remember in just a second.
I've had good experiences. I pay for my children's health care. I'm in New Mexico and I pay their health care, and it seems like it's been good coverage, but I don't know. It just seems like with all the crooked behavior that's coming out, we're going to see some heads roll, and they're going to roll hard.
Well, wait, what comes out about Obamacare and the collusion with the insurance company and all that money river between it. It's huge.
And UnitedHealth was one of the three companies that got the. Mm-hmm.
Well, it was something Mark Andreessen said on Joe Rogan the other day. I can't remember what you were talking about, something that just sparked it. Like, there's a connection. Like, he said something that just totally connected everything as far as this is concerned. Damn, I wish I could remember what he said.
Are you talking about Mike Benz?
No, it was Mark Andreessen. He was
Mark Andreessen. Oh, okay. Okay. Do you know what I haven't heard from you today, Kim?
What's that?
They're going to jail.
Oh, I said it. I said it a couple times in the beginning.
I missed it.
Oh, I said it definitely about Nancy Pelosi. She's like I have a list. She's up there. She's top 5. But I wonder. I find it interesting that Biden is going to be, doing these preemptive pardons, and I'm sure the list is long. I would love to see the applicants for that.
Well, do you really think he's going to, or do you think he's going to screw some of them over?
I think he's going to screw Pelosi over. He's furious with her because she was really the hammer. Because Obama never does anything publicly. Like George Clooney is out complaining that Obama set him up to be the bad guy to take Biden out. I mean, because he needs everybody to love him.
I remember.
You know why? You know his wife's role in all this?
Amen, Angela. Yep.
So what, Martin?
You know, my favorite movie with George Clooney is The Perfect Storm.
Mark Andreessen said, hang on. Dang it. Did I forget it again? No. He was talking about, oh, shit. You just said something that triggered it, and now it's gone again. Dang it.
Play the clip, Kimberly.
Oh, yeah, I'll play that clip. But that wasn't what it was about.
Was it about Biden? Was it about funding? Was it
George
about
Clooney?
George Clooney, the wife? I'm there with you, Kim, having the moments myself today.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Like in my brain one second and out of my brain the next second.
It was about being canceled.
Oh no, it was about he had gone into a meeting. It was a tech meeting with the government, and they basically laid out a plan that essentially everything was going to be consolidated into like 3 corporations, and they were going to control this country. Like he said, it was. He goes and and Joe Rogan said, "Well, what did you do?" And he goes, "I walked right out and bought Bitcoin or something like that." Like he's like, "Never again am I going to allow bankers to and the corporations to decide anything for me." But that was what he was talking about. He was talking about the consolidation, and something just triggered what you said there, and I was like, I mean that's what they're trying to set up to do.
Well, it's like this, that a-hole Larry Fink, sitting in forums telling everybody that ESG and DEI are going to rule the day, and and we're going to shove it down everybody's throat and you're going to like it. Well, let me tell you, Larry, got a hot fireplace poker for you too, bud.
Well, Southwest Airlines and Walmart just kicked it to the curb. A lot of companies have kicked it to the curb. So it's costing them money, and they're losing their top 10. I live in the headhunter world. Let me tell you something. We love it when companies do crazy things because we get to pull out their top 10% because they're not going to have a big future in the company. And they're fast trackers, and we love that. We take them out. But this DEI, ESG has been costly. And it is so intertwined into our government. And then add healthcare tied into the military as a security concern. That's terrifying. What Obama did behind the scenes, every year I learned so much more about what he did quietly and got by with it. Nobody stopped him. Nobody talked about it. It's like he's so protected. Even with all this crap going on with Joe Biden, Obama was a part of it. The Russia and all that. There is an actual document that has Biden, Obama, I can't remember the woman's name in the cabinet, and Clapper.
Susan Rice.
No, it wasn't Susan Rice. She was an African-American woman, very talented. She actually gave up her job. Very talented. They used her, they hung her out. But Obama knew everything that was going on and did nothing. And
I mean, Obama went to the United States Military War College and gave a speech about global warming is an existential threat that our military needed to plan for. Really?
Obama?
Barack Obama is in serious trouble right now.
I understand that it's going to rain more and we might need some mud tires, but seriously.
Fear sells.
I guess I just want to know something. Why is it that Obama is never brought up as the problem child? Never.
He's untouchable.
Why is he untouchable?
Well,
Because they made it a racist topic.
We still don't.
Correct.
We still don't know if we got a good birth certificate yet. So.
His mom was in the CIA. She was an asset. So, and they were tied to the Bush family. They're just a lot of crazy stuff there. It's amazing.
Her mom was related to Margaret Thatcher, and Lolo Sotero worked for George H.W. Bush, and Barack Obama played as a child at George H.W. Bush's property and house, and he was groomed to be the president of the United States.
And he's tied in Illinois to the Pritzker family. They actually funded a lot of his campaign. I didn't know this. Remember we were making fun of Kamala Harris? They were paying people to ride in the bus to come to her rallies. And then somebody was tracking their cell phones. They were going to like 6 different rallies and they were the same people. It turns out they did that with Obama when he first ran. They paid people to show up and listen to him. Everything's staged.
All right.
Even then.
I want to circle back to the UnitedHealthcare just real quick because I did ask Brock what the connection between Nancy Pelosi and the assassination of Brian Thompson was, and it's got quite a bit of information here. It says stock transactions posts on X, formerly Twitter, have suggested that Nancy Pelosi might have engaged in stock transactions related to UnitedHealthcare or companies connected to it like Palo Alto Networks around the time of a significant cybersecurity breach at UnitedHealthcare Group in February of 2024. However, these posts are speculative and do not provide concrete evidence of direct involvement or knowledge of the assassination. Of course they don't, because I mean, Cybersecurity. There was a significant cybersecurity breach at UnitedHealthcare announced on February 21st, which compromised data. Following this, Pelosi reportedly bought all options in Palo Alto Networks, a cybersecurity firm linked to UnitedHealthcare Group. While this could be seen as a financial strategy, some posts on X linked this transaction to the later assassination of the CEO, though without substantiating a direct connection. And then there's general speculation. There's been chatter on social media platforms, particularly X, questioning if Pelosi or her associates could have had motives linked to insider trading or political influence, given UnitedHealthcare's significant role in the healthcare policy and the DOJ's investigation into the company. However, these are conjectures. And public sentiment and conspiracy theory. The assassination has fueled conspiracy theories online, with some users on platforms like X drawing connections to Pelosi due to her history in politics and her husband's previous involvement in insider trading controversies. So these are not supported by factual evidence regarding this specific event. I mean, you can tell that there's like all this cover your ass. Caveats. The information available from web sources does not explicitly connect Pelosi to the assassination beyond these speculative posts. The terms deny, depose, and defend found on the shell casings used in the assassination seem to reference a book critical of insurance companies' practices, but do not directly implicate Pelosi. Law enforcement has not publicly linked Pelosi to the crime in any official capacity. In summary, while there are speculative links and discussions on social media, there is no concrete evidence from the sources provided that directly connects Nancy Pelosi to the assassination of Brian Thompson. The connection remains one of the speculation and public discourse rather than established fact. There we go. Hi, Sleepy. Nice to see you.
Hey, everybody. The only reason I came up was, I love hearing about all these different theories and these evil people. It's interesting, right? But the thing I'm also reading is like the appointment of David Sachs, and you're talking about Andreessen and Elon and Vivek and Trump, and it's a certain vibration that these good people coming together that will be unstoppable, and we will overcome this evil. And I just hope that everybody stays on board with, it's the key is to get into this vibration mode of positivity and let's get this thing rolling, because we have a nation to save.
Oh, it's positivity, but we are not going to put up with no bullshit.
No, I love how you guys can remember. I mean, remembering and understanding the past so that we can get to these people and put them where they belong is absolutely accurate and correct. And I'm completely supportive of that. But I'm just so excited about the vibration going up at the top right now. And I love Hegseth and yeah. So I appreciate you guys' conversation. And it seemed to me like he's, he could have had a family member that didn't get proper care or denied. And like you said, delayed, denied. And the percentages that you mentioned, the 10% with AI use, that's just pathetic and sad. And it could just be a disgruntled, extremely disgruntled end user or related to. So he was not a professional, shot him in the calf first, then shot him in the back. Sad.
It went to his lungs. That's why he died so quickly. Lungs. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you hear the guys that are professionals, they're like, I would just walk right up to the back of his head or whatever. So
well, I've got two really great clips that kind of go along with what you're talking about. One of them is Glenn Beck. And the other one is this dude, Will Kane, talking about Pete Hegseth and the Senate and the RINOs. And it just, there's a lot of examples of people being like, oh no, we're watching you. And if you're coming up for re-election, expect to get primaried if you don't do what we tell you to do. Like, we're not playing this game anymore. You're not going to subvert this president again. You are not going to get away with running your agenda, whoever Joe Schmo is in the back office, and not the president, the duly elected president's agenda. They're not.
Yeah. I called her office today, Ernst. I called her office today and left her a message because I don't really want to play games like you guys are saying. And I love that we're showing we have their backs. And Pete's got a great vibration. He is just a great dude.
That's the kind of dude I want leading our Defense Department. That guy, he's got principles and morals, and he's been through it, and he's earned his stripes, and he cares about the veterans. He knows exactly how to fix the problems. I mean, that's what I really love is the level of expertise that the team that I'm seeing being built is just awesome.
He also went to Harvard. He's smart as a whip. The book that he wrote is what put him in front of Trump, because Trump wants to do peace through strength. And this is the last thing they want. And Joni Ernst and Lindsey Graham are the problem. Both of them are up for re-election in 2026. So I've gotten hundreds and hundreds of people going after them on X, Office, and email. Joni Ernst is acting like Pete Hegseth doesn't have the moral fiber. Do some digging in her background and find out why her husband divorced her. She wants this job. That's what she wants. That's her game plan.
Hey, Southern.
Yes, sir.
Going to Harvard doesn't carry the same weight that it used to. Bumble went to Harvard.
Well, Bumble, you're smart.
Maybe that's why they're always on top of you at Bumble. They know how smart you are.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But he graduated quite a while back. So yeah, today it's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. So did Bumble. Bumble graduated quite a while.
I fled through the indoctrinated.
But I thought it was kind of interesting that John Cornyn came out today and announced that Kash Patel was going to cruise through the Senate.
Do you know why? I
don't know if that was kind of a gift to get around this controversy on Hegseth or not, but Hegseth has got a master's in public policy, from Harvard, and none of these senators have any of that, and most of these senators didn't serve a day in the service.
Did you remember Pete Hegseth gave back his degree to Harvard?
Well, I've got a video. This guy really lays it out perfectly. And Kelly, I will put it in our chat as soon as I can find it on my iPad. Okay. But I'm going to play it first and then I will put it on the chat.
Kim, before you do that, I just want to close the loop on this. John Cornyn is in trouble. Ken Paxton's coming for his job in 2026. And Texas is on board. This is why he's behaving right now, because he's got pressure.
He's part of the original H.W. Bush clan that was elected back in the 80s. He's part of the clique, Dick Cheney, H.W., Cornyn, the whole 9 yards.
We're getting rid of them all. The Bush dynasty is over.
Elon just tweeted. I took it personally to make sure that he wouldn't be the speaker, the Senate majority leader, personally.
All right, so I'm going to play this because this kind of lays out and kind of will start, continue the conversation about these RINOs in the Senate and how we need to make sure that we are paying attention to them at all times. That clearly cannot be unsupervised, not for a minute. We might even have to get bathroom escorts.
Joni Ernst. Who are you, Lindsey Graham? Do you take the side of NBC News over the recipient of a Medal of Honor for the war he fought, clearing out a building single-handedly in Iraq? Do you take the side of the New Yorker over 24 Fox News employees? Do you take the side of the New York Times over 100 Navy SEALs prepared to march on Washington, D.C.? Or maybe there's another motivation. I said one could be taking the side of NBC, of New York Times, the New Yorker. The other could be you want the job yourself. Dirty, ugly, backroom politics. One of these senators wants the job themselves instead of Pete Hegseth. A third option. A senator, I don't know, from the South, might be so embedded in the Pentagon, in the war machine, and the DOD, and the Department of Defense lobby, that anyone who represents real disruption or as a change agent would see Pete Hegseth as a threat. See, I wonder about any Republican senator today decides he's going to draw his line in the sand over Pete Hegseth. Because it's not a line in the sand, by the way. Oh, they took out Matt Gaetz. Now their attention turns to Pete Hegseth. You think it ends after that? You think so? No. You know better. The attacks moved to Tulsi Gabbard. If not Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. If not RFK Jr., Kash Patel. If not Kash Patel, Sean Duffy. And maybe in that order. You fold, and you'll fold forever. And we'll debate why. Because you have no spine, because you're weak, because you believe NBC over Medal of Honor recipients, because you're invested in getting the job yourself and you're looking out for yourself and not the people of Iowa, because you're so embedded in the DOD and the Department of Defense lobby that you never want to see real change. Well, guess what the American people voted for? Real change, disruption. That's what they asked for. And an overwhelming vote for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump believes that the way to execute change is to put Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in charge of HHS. It's to put Kash Patel in charge of the FBI. It's to put Tulsi Gabbard in charge of DNI. John Ratcliffe in charge of CIA. And Pete Hegseth in charge of DOD. Oh, we're about to see exactly who some people are. We already know who they are in New York. We already know who they are in the high rise of the Times. We're about to see who they are in Iowa and South Carolina and North Dakota.
I like the way he put that.
And that is Superman's little brother.
Right? So yeah, I mean, do you think that it's a motive for them to just, they want? I think fundamentally they just want to be able to have their say, and they want to retain some sort of power. And we saw it with Mitch McConnell and putting in John Thune. They want to be able to steer Trump's cabinet, and Trump and the American people need to not let that happen. It's not up to them. They need to confirm the people that we want there. And, some of the people that Trump is putting forward, the American people don't want. And so far, he's listened on a few of them. So I think we've got a couple more that we need to, step on the throats and get him out of there. But for the most part, he's been like rock solid. And he has communicated to us. He told us that if he doesn't, we don't hear it from his truth, it's not official. And some people have fallen for quite a few of them. And I love it when Jen calls him out. What's up, Bumble?
Yeah, does anybody else share my sentiment that Ron DeSantis is a smokescreen to protect Pete Hegseth? There's no way that they're gonna put a globalist with deep ties to the military industrial complex as head of DOD. I think it's they put Ron DeSantis up there just to give cover for Pete Hegseth. And I think at the end of the day, Pete Hegseth will cross the finish line.
I think that's a theory.
I think you're right, Bumble. I think you're big on. I was thinking about that today. I looked at this and I went, Ron DeSantis. They're using that as a big stick behind Pete. I love it. But do we have to worry about DeSantis and the Bush relationship for the future?
Oh, wait, that's why DeSantis is not going to get any sort of position of.
I totally disagree that they're using DeSantis to protect Pete.
I think the media.
No way.
is
DeSantis is the double agent trying to get in there as a deep state puppet in order to control Trump.
Exactly.
Right? Like DeSantis, right? That's why it came out of the Wall Street Journal, and Lindsey Graham was one of the anonymous sources, apparently. So DeSantis is not there to help Pete Hegseth. That's the deep state trying to slide their guy in and using the bully pulpit of the media to strong arm Trump, hoping that his Trump supporters will get behind DeSantis.
Yes, but Jen, don't you think that Trump knows that?
Trump knows what?
That they're using DeSantis as a wedge. But
that's probably why Trump is probably sitting at Mar-a-Lago laughing his ass off, and that's why the next morning he put out a post slamming the Wall Street Journal, calling them China controlled.
Yep. I don't think Ron DeSantis gets anything short of top pleasure.
I agree with you 100% on that one. Like he kind of blew it. Got in bed with the Bushes. We're done. Bush dynasty is out of our government. We are exterminating the Bushes.
Come
And
on.
Lindsey Graham is out there trying to be like, oh, we're looking for the source behind the DeSantis rumor. Yeah, just like Lindsey's trying to convince us he doesn't go to bathhouses either.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, that he doesn't swing for the other team. I mean, give me a break.
You don't think that DeSantis is worth an ambassadorship to Bangladesh?
Maybe when he's done being governor.
Hey, I met
I think
Susie
Ron
Wiles.
DeSantis made a political.
Hey, I was just going to say, Jeff, I met Susie Wiles on an elevator ride, and she seems like such a nice lady, but such a strong lady. And I think she's going to be a great protector and a truth slayer too, because I think she can read people pretty good too. So I think she'll be a great asset in there to keep the riffraff out from spreading propaganda to Trump.
The fact that she was the mastermind behind the greatest comeback of all time, I mean, she ran that campaign like nobody's business. So I'm excited about her. I'm excited that he put in, she's the first female of staff. You know, I mean, some of his picks have just been really brilliant.
She's a sweetheart and tough.
Hey, Sleepy, tell me something. You there?
Are you there?
Yeah, wasn't that Sleepy?
Yeah, I was sleepy.
Tell me something. Do you think she looks good in a bikini?
Is that your test? Is that your litmus test?
100%. Pam Bondi.
She looks better in a bikini than Matt Gaetz does. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and the new press secretary that's coming up for Trump, she looks awesome in a bikini.
Who is that? Is that his attorney? Who did he name as the press secretary?
Caroline Leavitt.
Oh, okay. I don't know her. I'm not really familiar with her, but I did want to talk about. Jen, do we want to talk a little bit about the who he named? Who's the blonde? Kelly Leffler.
She got named SBA.
Loeffler. She was a former senator out of Georgia.
Yeah, she should have been named to the freaking doghouse.
Yeah,
she had a WNBA team.
See,
she also powers and scurries like the spineless person she is.
Yeah, and also she does not look good in a bikini. So there.
I mean, I'm just still wondering if we've ever seen Ann Coulter and Kelly Loeffler in the same room. Asking for a friend.
Interesting. Oh, don't send I wish Aaron was here so you could send him down that rabbit hole.
Some people on this stage look good in a bikini. Just saying.
Avatar looks real good in a bikini, let me tell you. So
All Republican women are hot. They're smart and they're hot.
damn Skippy, we don't have blue hair, we don't shave our heads, and we don't freaking get all weird.
Well, since Christmas is coming up, and since you all are so thrilled about bikinis,
I knew it. I knew it.
American Mission Store has bikinis that you can buy, and you can save them for summer and mail them to your favorite people so they can, or send them now, send them for Christmas. They can take them to Puerto Rico or to their favorite Caribbean island, or they can use them when they go to their tan bed, or they can use them
The sauna.
To do a photo shoot for Bumble.
Never, ever, ever downplay the power of the bikini. That's what I always say.
And our bikinis are an excellent advertisement for American Mission.
And you can easily find the links up in the Jumbotron for both the official apparel site and our swag store.
And the official apparel site is all American sourced or ally sourced. So we don't mess around with the China. And yeah, so it's we've got some really great stuff in there. If you use the promo code JLAW47 in the apparel store, you get 10% off right now.
Woohoo!
She didn't even know she had a promo code.
She looks good
Really
in a
like-
bikini.
I was like, wait a second, I have a promo code?
Yes, you do.
Does this mean that J-Law will be modeling the American Mission bikini?
That doesn't work in the bikini shop, Bumble. We had a sale on bikinis last week. We'll do another little one before Christmas, but right now you got to pay full price. Full price for the bikinis?
I think Jen lost the bikini in the storm.
Are you saying like I'm on sale?
No, you're not. No, you're not on sale. Why would you think that you're on sale?
Because Bumble was like, okay, never mind. I'm just gonna stop.
You got me wrong. I have installed you on my pedestal.
Not for sale. You're not even on sale because there's no promo code for the bikini shop. Okay, there's a promo code for the fully clothed shop where you can get hoodies and beanies and hats and long sleeve jersey soft shirts, which mine's going to be here tomorrow. Let's see, what else can you get in there? Short sleeve V-necks, all kinds of good stuff.
You can get winter jackets because right now it's cold. Cold where if you're not in Florida, you're freezing your ass off.
Yes,
cold is a very, very good thing. I hate summer. Summer sucks. Sorry. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Sorry, I just
Deep. How you doing?
not much. No, I'm doing great. I was just gonna say, you guys are talking about winter. I think winter is the best time of the year. It's when you can ski. It's when you can get out. Enjoy the alpine. You get to enjoy snow. Good powdery snow, depending on where you live, right? But still, it's a privilege to enjoy winter.
I think being cold is painful. I mean, being hot is uncomfortable, but being cold is physically.
What's your home state?
I'm a third generation Korean, so I don't exist above the Mason-Dixon line at all.
No, I literally can't handle the cold. Like I feel like I'm going to die.
Have you ever been skiing?
I used to ski all the time. My uncles were all competitive skiers. I grew up in New York.
And you didn't like it?
No, I hated it. Like if it goes below like 70, I'm cold. And right now it is currently, let's see what the current weather is here.
Now, could I ask you, have you skied in a skiable state? I mean, I'm not saying like New York.
I've skied all over the world. I've skied so my uncles work for Doppelmayr, and they build ski lifts all over the world. So they actually live right at the base of Alta Mountain in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So yeah, I mean, you've seen the best of the U.S. and you still don't like it.
Listen,
So
I
it's fair.
learned because I've had to.
It was looking pretty bleak
dabble
in
the
terms
colder
of
weather
the
because I
direction internet
ran
censorship
from
was headed. It
northern
seemed
Iowa,
like the censorship
the first
machine
time
was
he dragged-
winning
first
up
of all, let me
until
start by
around the
saying this.
time
I
that
put in my
Elon
marriage
purchased
vows that
X.
I
That
don't go to
seems to
Iowa
me
from
to
the
be our fork in the
months
road.
of
That's the
November
alternative
until
timeline.
That's exactly it. He's sort of
And then,
the
of course, I had a
timeline where we
kid,
missed the bullet. It all sort of
and I
happened
went to
simultaneously, really, because the
Christmas,
month that Elon
got
announced his acquisition was the
lulled
same
into
month that
going
the
up there.
Disinformation
Okay,
Governance
so I
Board
went up
was announced
there,
at DHS, which
and
was the first thing that really roused
first time I
Republicans
went up
and,
there,
frankly, anyone with institutional
there's nothing
power in
to do. I got
D.C.
super duper
to
drunk, and I was
finally stare
hungover.
into the
I went to
sun
take a
and
shower
begin to
so that I
glimpse
could
the
like
size of what they
sober
were
up a
up
little
against.
bit
The
the
Disinformation
next
Governance
morning,
Board set
and
off a flurry of
I
congressional
got in
activity
the
from Chuck
car
Grassley and
to go
other
to
luminaries
breakfast
in
and walked
Congress.
outside.
Whistleblower documents
My
came
red
out,
hair
and
froze.
for
And I had
years,
never
the
had
entire
that happen
Republican
before.
Party and
I
most
have
of
a
the
lot of
Democrat
hair,
Party had
goofed
denied
up,
the
and my
existence
husband,
of
who's
government
a brat,
censorship. The Ministry of Truth was
told
not
me
the Disinformation
that
Governance
if I
Board. The Ministry of
touched
Truth
it,
had
it
already
would
existed
break
3 years
and fall
earlier at
off. All
DHS.
I
They
could
just
think to
called
myself
it
was,
a
that's
name
the
that
worst
masked what it
haircut in
did.
the
It's
entire
called the
world.
Cybersecurity
Okay,
and
not the
Infrastructure
first time I went
Security
up there.
Agency, which is a
The
name that
second
puts
time
you
I
half
went
to
up
sleep
there,
by the time
the
you're finished
average
saying
was
it.
negative 33 degrees. Okay. And I learned that the only difference between negative 10 and negative 30 is wind. If it's windy, it sucks. So it was my mother-in-law looked at me and said, I better not die in the winter or you're not coming up here for my funeral. And I said, you are damn skippy. I said, don't they have to wait anyway to bury you?
Well, I'll lay an even higher level on it. I grew up in the Catskill Mountains and I went to school at the University of Colorado Boulder. So like, and I had a 5 mountain pass at one point. So like, I've seen the best skiing in the world, and it's
Well, I don't know if it's the world, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Colorado's good. I'll give them good, but not the best in the world. That's for sure. I think Utah is among the best in the world, in the U.S. at least. But it's interesting. You don't like to ski, huh? Very interesting. Despite being
like
from a ski.
I just don't like to be cold.
Well,
that's interesting. But it gets cold when you ski, right? I mean, that's typically how it is.
But like, dude, I go down black diamonds. I've been doing black diamonds since I was a kid. Like, I really know how to ski. My uncles taught me. Right? Like, I just
she's short, so she can, like, short people, they pick that up a lot better than tall people, because tall people have a lot further to fall.
Dude, I'm gonna look at ski lifts differently now, Jen. You're related. I'm freaking excited. Doppelganger, you say? What?
Doppelmayr.
I know. I just looked up doppelganger. I didn't know what it meant, but I'm excited.
Jen has many doppelgangers too.
Yeah, the winter time is the best time to visit your nation's capital because nobody is here. And
well, I'm gonna come to the
I mean, did you
inauguration.
say DC? Because I mean, just without being politically correct, DC is a shithole. Like, I mean, just the way the city's run, the mayor. I mean,
yeah,
but
it's
a dystopia.
But you know, shit doesn't stink when it's frozen.
So what you're saying is winter is the best time to visit.
And yeah, all the museums, you know, nobody's there because nobody wants to be out when it's bite ass cold. And
well, you can't like the previous speaker, I think the host America was mentioning, right? You can't ski in Iowa. You probably can't ski in DC either, right? So
no, they got skiing up here. They're skiing
probably a few hours
from here.
Away. It's probably not that good either.
Massanutten and I mean, they got some slopes in West Virginia that are
Snowshoe, isn't that around there? Snowshoe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Isn't there some
That's
white
ski on ice.
powder at the West?
Pennsylvania and West Virginia and Virginia.
Yeah, I think West Virginia, yes, Pennsylvania, no. But I think the best in the East Coast is Vermont, supposedly. But
I wonder if any of our senators that we're looking at ski.
No.
Well, I know one that's a former senator that comes on these spaces a lot, George Santos. Apparently, he's a very avid skier as well. He's been skiing all over the world and the country. So, he's a nice guy. I like George.
He is great. He's funny. He did a space actually today earlier. It's pretty good. So we went through and we talked about the CEO murder. We briefly touched on the continuing resolution. I think that it's not been on everybody's mind, but we're sitting here on December 5th, and they go off on their holiday December 20th, and so that's going to be the D-Day. In 15 days, we're going to get another continuing resolution, which means that we will have been under Nancy Pelosi's omnibus from 2022 for the entire 118th Congress, which means they didn't do their job again.
Well, today, Kim, is the day where this, they're supposed to all the precincts and counties are supposed to turn the votes in to the people at the state capitals, so that they can have all the electors lined up. So on December the 12th, they can have the electoral college, okay? And the electoral college can vote. And then on January the 6th, they can have their little pity party, because they're going to have to admit that Donald Trump won the election. And then they can have their trespassing parade, across the Potomac to Arlington Cemetery, where they can pay homage to the, to the people that gave us the ability to be free, and then all the prison buses will come pick them up and haul their asses away.
So I typed in, are there going to be recounts, right, for the 2024 election? And so far, I see that Alaska is going to be having a recount because of ranked choice voting. And then this one says the first numbers are in from the PA recount. That was on the 19th of November. So they already did one there. But we've got these places like California where the Republican was winning, and then they counted until the Democrat was winning. And I think, did we get a final call on CA 45 at all? Do we know?
Yeah, they called the Democrat, but there's only 500 and some votes difference. And I think that there's serious issues there.
Well, I mean, isn't there some sort of threshold that will trigger a recount?
Usually it's 0.5%, but in California, it's difficult to say. I think that, I don't know what the state law is there. They may have to pay for the recount themselves. But I don't know that the Republican Party put any money in that race. She should have won that seat.
I wonder if the RNC has put out anything. I mean, because we got, so McCormick was called for Pennsylvania, right? but are they wanting to do a recount there, or have they conceded that?
Casey conceded. That's done.
I'm going to type in California 45 and see. Oh, did you see that on Leticia Castillo won her state assembly seat?
Hey, I was just going to say, you guys had brought up about half an hour or 45 minutes ago about the pardon list. And I am just going to be fascinated because you're right. Pelosi could be on it and some of these other
Obama.
Yeah, no, there could be a huge list and he might do it. And I also heard that quick rumor. I don't want to change the subject, change the room, you guys, but I heard that he was gonna step down so she could take office, so she could pardon him. I don't know. It's just crazy, right? But you're right. There'll be a laundry list, and yeah, they have to.
All right,
so it's a criminal list. It's not a pardon list.
Right. Well, so
you guys had asked a question earlier about why Barack Obama is 10 foot tall and nobody can touch him. I'll go and answer that question. It's pretty easy. H.W. Bush gave him a list, the black book or the Rolodex of everything that's all the ammunition in the government. And he has that in his possession and people are scared of him. H.W. Bush controlled intelligence, controlled the West Coast Mafia. And when he was at Yale, he combined the East Coast Mafia, the Ivy League, Washington, D.C., Virginia, the whole 9 yards to the Texas West Coast Mafia. That's why he held so much power. And just location.
Hey, Jeff,
Houston, Texas.
Jeff, is it nepotism or are they meet in college or how do these guys get together?
They're related. Obama
and
the Bushes are related, I think. Or they are.
No, George W. Bush is, yeah.
Lolo,
what's his name again, Jeff?
Sotero.
Lolo Sotero, Barry Sotero, his stepfather.
He worked for HW, right? Is that what it was?
Right, in the oil industry, and
he overthrew the Indonesian government.
Yeah, he did the wet work.
Bush.
You ready for this one? George Walker Bush did something that I will never forgive him for. They were trading for arms and everything, and the currency there was drugs, not the American dollar. They sold heroin to our soldiers in the Vietnam War. I will never forgive that family for that.
That was also Frank Lucas set up the whole East Coast connection with the dope out of Laos. If you saw the movie American Gangster, the story of Frank Lucas, who was Bumpy Johnson's driver. And Bumpy Johnson was the king of Harlem for many years. And Frank took it over and he started bringing the dope into America during the Vietnam War. He was loading it in the coffins. He would put it in the base of the coffins that were flying in, and they wouldn't do the check on them because they were bodies, and they found that out. But yeah, it's a lot. The Iran Contra, that was a big deal, man.
I just wish that we were in a position to kind of audit some of this stuff. Like,
it's black budget. It's not on paper.
That's why the CIA doesn't come for a budget.
Yeah,
They have
exactly.
their own, yeah.
Well, they get their budget from drug dealing and child trafficking. Yeah, of course.
And arms selling.
What, they don't have a reportable budget that they request and get delegated?
No, it's just the DOD.
Oh.
But I've seen the CIA director there before. Does she not?
They have a budget, but
they have a working budget. But
I
the other
worked,
stuff,
I worked,
That's why there's $2 billion missing out of the Pentagon.
yeah,
Go ahead, Chris.
I worked with a guy once when I was in the car business, and he was a station chief in a not to be named South American country that ran a shrimp farm, and that shrimp farm provided all sorts of funding for all sorts of things. So,
oh my gosh, by the way, I just found a video of Pete Hegseth just tearing into the media. Do we want to watch that real quick or listen?
absolutely.
Play that clip I sent you last night.
is that the Megyn Kelly interview?
No, this is just he's just standing in front of the microphones.
Okay.
Hang on, I'll play this and then I'll play that. Okay, Jen.
Hey, Philby's on fire tonight, and I think Judge Joe Brown did a thing about the Soetoro connection with.
Oh
Barack
yeah,
Obama.
he lays it out perfect.
Yeah, he knows.
Out of what I fought for. I'm not going to back down from them one bit. I will answer all of these senators' questions, but this will not be a process tried in the media. I don't answer to anyone in this group. None of not to that camera at all. I answer to President Trump, who received 76 million votes and a mandate for change. I answer to the 100 senators who are part of this process and those in the committee. And I answer my Lord and Savior and my wife, my family. I'm proud to be here. And as long as Donald Trump wants me in this fight, I'm going to be standing right here in this fight, fighting to bring our Pentagon back to what it needs to be. Have your conversation.
Well, he is not playing around, and I like it.
Yeah, as I had talked about earlier, that vibration. You want that positive vibration. Trump needs it. He needs that positive flow, man. It's going to help pump him up, and he is so smart. Gosh, he's good.
The reason they're going after him, though, is it's going to kill a lot of these military contractor opportunities and all that donor money. They're fighting for this. He has the biggest headwind, I think, because of that type of change. But is there something that can be done? Because McConnell said there will be no recess appointments. He made that very clear. And I don't
Mitch
know.
McConnell, didn't he quit? I'm sorry.
No, he stepped down from majority leader and he's running two of the biggest committees in the Senate. So he's still in power. And
well, again, he's another one that we're not going to put up with it anymore. And he is definitely on the list to go to jail. All right, I'm going to play this clip that Jen wanted me to play the other night that I didn't get to, but it's really good.
You need to watch this. This is Mark Andreessen. Basically, he's a billionaire tech investor. Okay, now listen to what he's about to say. So supposedly this conversation is about the Biden administration when it comes to AI.
The AI thing was very alarming. We had meetings this spring that were the most alarming meetings I've ever been in, where they were taking us through their plans, and it was what kind of? Can you talk about it? Basically, just full government control, like this sort of thing. There will be a small number of large companies that will be completely regulated and controlled by the government. They told us they just said don't even start startups, like don't even bother. Like there's no way. There's no way that they can succeed. There's no way that we're going to prevent that to happen. Wow. Yeah. It's already over. It's going to be 2 or 3 companies, and we're gonna control them, and that's that. Like this is already finished. Oh my God! No, then when you leave a meeting like that, what do? You go and Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean that.
I love it. I think that guy keeps talking. Let me finish playing it.
You don't need to play the rest. That was it.
This podcast.
Oh, okay.
Super smart guy.
Mark Andreessen or Pete?
Highly intelligent.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
He's highly thoughtful and highly intelligent and, deep thought.
Yeah, no, him on that Joe Rogan interview was just fantastic. All right, let's get to Adam and then we'll get to Heather.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope everyone's having a good evening. I had a question. I saw Judge Joe Brown posted He was watching the live arguments in front of SCOTUS regarding Tennessee law dealing with trans freaks. Well, at least he calls them that, and I agree. But you could tell why Honorable Ketanji Jackson said she couldn't say what a woman was. She's a shill for their sick cause. It'll be 6-3 for Tennessee. Do you know what this case was about? Anybody?
Yeah, it was about the not having them in women's rooms.
That was it?
Yeah, so they were trying to reverse the ban that Tennessee put on to keep them out of there. So that's what they were arguing.
Oh, the ruling was 6-3. Was that for?
So that means that they're going to keep the ban in place.
Keep the ban in place. Okay, cool. A little bit of sanity. Sounds good to me.
Hey, did you see what the women's golf decided, though? They threw down and said today that only golf balls are allowed in their sport.
They did say that.
That was good. That was great. So,
Man, that was great.
What's up, Heather?
Hey, so thanks for letting me come up to speaker. We were talking about Mitch McConnell earlier. So today was the Republican Jobs virtual job fair. I had set up to be on it, and I jumped in on one of the panels, and they were talking about jobs at the Capitol. And the guy who was talking about jobs at the Capitol was talking about how, Matt Gaetz did Mitch McConnell dirty. He didn't say those words. I'm saying those words. And that, Mitch McConnell's a really great guy, and all of this stuff. And I was like, well, definitely not going to be working at the Capitol then, am I? Just seemed very indoctrinated. So I just kind of wanted to add that about, it's the weirdest thing. It's just the weirdest thing how we all can see it, but everybody wants to keep all of these people in power who are up in DC. It really needs to be, the whole thing needs to be unraveled.
Oh, I think it's going to be. I think that when, as they start chipping away at the waste, fraud, and abuse, fraud, let's emphasize that, okay? So, and they're going to also, work to figure out this whole insider trading stuff. So, as much as Joe Biden may try to do his preemptive pardoning, they taught us that we could go after them in the states. So I think that we're going to see a lot of people held accountable because that really is the only way that our nation is going to heal. We have to have justice served, or we're a lawless nation.
Well, Kimberly, just so you understand, okay, these January 6th committee people, these Congress people who are on the January 6th committee, okay, they might get pardoned for some made up federal crime thing, whatever anybody perceives might be a crime, you're pardoned for on the federal level. But they sent a lot of pork back home in their career. And if you don't think that a forensic accountant can go through all the stuff that they sent back and reroute it back to their campaign or to their bank account or to their mama's bank account that went to their bank account or to some charity that rerouted it to their bank account, they got another thing coming.
Would like the Clinton laundering fountain.
And that is on a state level because that happened in their state, and states run elections.
I hope you're right, because again, they need to pay. And in fact, I think that all of the money that they have, squirreled away and, all the kickbacks and all that kind of stuff needs to be put into a fund to help the American people, whether that's paying off some of the debt. I mean, I honestly think that we should have they should have to work for free to pay off the debt that they've put us in.
Well, if they're going to be pardoned for the January 6th committee, then we need that money to give to the J6ers to make them whole. We're not going to make them mentally whole.
Absolutely.
Well, did
We
you say
need
the
to take care
J6
of
committee is pardoned?
Joe Biden's
the
talking
rumor.
about it. He's going to do a.
Why would he have to
preemptive
pardon them? They're ones investigating a quote unquote crime.
He's preemptively pardoning them because he knows that Trump's, going to be investigating them.
Yeah, Adam Schiff's on social media going, Trump's going to send the military after me. He's like a duck running around with his head.
Ain't nobody gonna send the military after your bitch ass. Excuse my language, but like, you know what I mean? Adam shit and pencil neck. We can send midgets to go pick him up.
You tell him, Adam. You tell him.
Yeah, because Adam is like a baby. He's like freaking out. It's freaking out. I kind of like it.
It is kind of fun.
It is. I have a question. I thought this Tennessee law is the one that restricts gender transition treatments for minors. That was a significant case that the Supreme Court was talking about. I thought that is
you're right.
6-3, because it's not bathroom. That's the Nancy Nays and all that in Congress. But this is significant, guys, because this helps 25 states stay whole. So this is significant.
Yeah, we have to walk back all those 16 states that actually passed it. So Tennessee banned the the transgender or the gender affirming care, the transgender mutilation, and for minors. And then the Biden administration was fighting that ban. It's just like the Biden the Missouri v. Biden, right? Where they basically said you can't censor American people, and then the Biden administration tried to get an injunction so that they could, still censor us for the 2024 election. Luckily, that one held up too. How you doing, Casey?
I'm good. Thanks for the mic. Hi, Jen. So I want to push back against something here. There's individuals that are really, really looking at Doge and everything that they're going to do to trim and get rid of the corruption and stuff in government. Well, I tweeted earlier about something when Congressman Blake Moore from Utah is the vice chair for Doge, the Doge caucus in Congress. That's a massive problem. If you guys look, that are big in, following the J6 community and what happened there with the investigation, remember John Curtis and Blake Moore both co-sponsored an investigation resolution, basically calling Trump out for insurrection, which was then changed to the eventual resolution that was passed to form the committee. So, and Blake Moore was a co-sponsor of that. So, to me, it all looks like political theater to some degree. And if you look at Tim Burchett's page on here, he calls out that the biggest problem with Doge is going to be some of the people in the room. And when he spoke to that earlier today, and Chip Roy agreed with him in the little cameo. So I think, we can't be naive, and just because Doge exists, and they're talking about going and cutting the government spending and talking about doing something, we can't be naive to the fact that it all could just be political theater. We've got to keep our foot on the pedal and keep driving home, and hopefully we can kick Blake Moore's ass off that vice chair role.
Well, I think that sometimes that they're putting people in these positions to let them hang themselves. So I think that's one of the strategies too, because if they can get them to basically trip themselves up in public, it makes it a lot easier for them. So I
see that, but if you really dig into Blake Moore, his wife is a Boyer, and the Boyer construction company has ties to major construction projects for military contracting positions all throughout the country around military bases. And Blake Moore effectively bought his congressional seat. So I think, you know, him in a position to hang himself, well, he's been in the position in Congress to hang himself, and he's in leadership in the Republican
but that's
congressional caucus as well.
Right, but that's under the old regime, right? Like I am of the mind that
I agree, but if you dig into Blake Moore, in his own words, considered Liz Cheney his greatest mentor.
And I think that Elon and Vivek and Trump, and I think that all of them, if you know that, then they know that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what's great too is Elon and Vivek can talk to Trump direct. They're not buffering him from Trump, and that's important. They were there today. It was great. Elon's walking. He's got little X in his suit sitting on his shoulder, and Vivek. And Speaker Johnson's going over to the podium to talk to the reporters. The reporters just turned away and was flashing away with their cell phones, taking pictures. But if you look at Elon's account, he's putting up everything they're doing. He's very transparent. And I think that's like being in the room. They're being very, very transparent because, you know, Elon, he's very clear. What is that? Rabbit in a hole. I think that's his handle. He put up a couple graphs. One was the Department of Education, where they've been spending money up until like 2021. It grew 95% to pay for administration over the schools, where the teachers were getting like 5% and the principals were getting like a 10% growth over that 10-year, 95% for administration. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I saw that chart, and it
was unbelievable.
Well, Southern. Oh God, I was gonna say, you know, I was looking at the amount of money from the tax dollar that went through, you know, all the bureaucracy. By the time it got to the student or the school, it was one or the other. It was 11 cents on a dollar. So every tax dollar, they'd only get 11 cents, and that was back 2011, 2010, around that time. So imagine now, like, how much are the kids getting, or how much is the school actually getting? So all this is wasted in bureaucracy.
Well,
that's the idea of getting rid of the Department of Education.
Well, let's not
to
forget
get rid of that waste.
It's all the agencies, right? And what Bree and Andrea Schaefer brought up the other day, is that not only is this happening, but the way that they're doing it is that they are granting the money to the NGOs, and the NGOs are allocating it to the local, you know, the state, county, municipal, whatever it is. And so when they do that, they sign into a contract with these NGOs to get the money, and inside the contract are terms of services that subvert our Constitution completely. So there's this whole, every single, like the Department of Education, the Health and Human Services, all of this stuff that's going on with the transing of our kids and the border and trafficking and all of that is being propagated through NGOs and these, you know, basically contracts with the devil, if you will.
Yeah. Elon put up another graph today that was interesting. He looked at all the buildings, all the employees. He said, if you take out security and maintenance, only 1% of government shows up. They're all working from home. Yeah. And another one went up, said 6%, and that included maintenance and security. So if there's only 1% there, we got too much security and maintenance. But this is absurd, and he wants them back in the office. But Biden signed that big contract with an outside company that goes through 2028. But I consider that a budget.
I mean, listen, we can repeal, we can get rid of all the Biden stuff. I mean, I think that's got to be, you know.
Is it an executive order?
No, but he entered into a contract with a, you know, company. But quite frankly, sure we've got people smart enough to get us out of these stupid contracts.
Yeah,
What's
I
up,
mean,
Heather?
I've got a client.
Oh, so Jeff, you're rugging bad. Oh, all right. Come back in a minute. What's that, Mr. Philby? And then I want to go to Heather.
I said, well, I know of a situation where, you know, you've got people that are going to the office one day a week and they're all sharing a desk because certain agencies had their buildings closed and sold, and so now they're in smaller buildings, and they go in one day a week and share the same desk.
Well, I loved Vinny's idea for all the empty buildings in DC, that we turn them into family housing so that the reps can bring their family with them, and then they won't do all the cocaine horror parties, you know? Go ahead, Heather.
Could also turn a couple into for vets, for homes.
Yes, absolutely. Heather, go ahead.
So we're talking about budget, and I just posted an article, and I've been talking about this for days because I can't wrap my brain around it. So there is a presidential authority that has been part of Article 2 and part of the Federalist Papers since the beginning of the country, and it's called impoundment. And I just learned about this, that it even existed. And the reason that a lot of people don't know anything about it is because in 1974, they extraordinarily curtailed the president's authority for impoundment. And what it basically means is, so the way that the government is supposed to work is Congress approves spending, and then the president is in charge of doing the actual purchasing. So Congress basically says, okay, we've approved $50,000 for new desks for the Capitol building. Here you go, President, but you can spend up to $50,000. And the president's impoundment authority allowed him to spend less, or to impound money that might be possibly going to, say, a foreign country. So say, I'll use Ukraine as an example. Say Congress approves money to go to Ukraine, Ukraine starts a war, and then we don't want to fund it anymore. So the president has the authority to then impound that money. Now, presidents have been doing this since Thomas Jefferson, 1803, I think, was the first time the authority was used. There was, in 1795, they had a surplus law, and under the surplus law, any monies that weren't spent went into the surplus, and after 2 years, it simply reverted back to the Treasury. So under the impoundment, if it was $50,000 for the Capitol to buy new desks, and the president said, okay, we can spend $40,000, then that $10,000 can then go back to Congress, essentially. So there was this check and balance system of spending. And in 1974, they put rules on it, and they basically gave the authority of impoundment and impoundment approval over to the Government Accountability Office. And when that happened, it took that power away from the president to be able to essentially impound those funds. And now we have $37 trillion of debt, because what the Government Accountability Office has done is, instead of the $50,000 being the ceiling, the topmost, and not the floor, because the $50,000 is the topmost, now that's why our government spends the entire amount, because the rules under the Impoundment Control Act say that if funds are in fact impounded, they must be spent by the end of the fiscal year. So we have a spending problem because there's no check and balance. There's no check and balance anymore on how we spend money when there used to be. And so that's one piece of why we are in so much debt, because now it's a matter of spending all of the money versus not having to spend it all.
And
If that makes sense.
that's why they take the most expensive contracts, and they get a new computer every year. I mean, I think it is the most asinine thing I have ever heard. And you said you put a post down there because we've been like gathering regulations and legislation that need to be repealed or amended because that sounds like one of the ones that, I mean, we talk about all the time.
Yeah, I'll share it. I'll post it and I'll put it in the nest as well.
I'll be short. That's definitely one of the biggest problems is the budgets. If they don't spend their total budget, then it goes down next year.
See, and I think there should be a reverse. Like it should be like, if you don't spend your budget, you get a bonus or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That you're efficient, you know. So like, you know, well, you know, it's not a bonus. They should get like a employee of the month award or something, you know.
I mean, I don't mind
they let's say they are trying to be efficient, and they are efficient. Instead of spending 50,000, they spend 30,000. Well, next year their budget's going to be 30,000 because, you know, they only spent that much the previous year. So they don't want to kneecap themselves for the next year coming in case they need it.
Or we do an audit.
It takes away from being efficient. So I think Elon could definitely help with this efficiency thing here.
Well, if you do an audit, right, and you figure out how much it actually costs, then you set a budget. They don't set the budget. You can set the budget. And then if they spend over the budget, they get penalized. Maybe it comes out of some sort of pension fund that we set up. And if they spend under their budget, they make money.
They get fired. Like, no, you're fired. You went over the budget, you know? Because who are they going to penalize? The taxpayers, you know, essentially. But, you know, that's where you're just fired. You're ill efficient. That's it. We don't need you. We'll get somebody better in place. You know,
well,
you didn't do your job well.
I'm excited about the fact that we're, you know, being tasked to actually give our input. There are 2 tools out there. If you don't know about them yet, I highly encourage you to go out and check it out. You do have to create a username and password, but it works for both sites. The first site is nomineesforthepeople.com, and we have some links down in the chat, and I believe up in the bubble as well. We have, I believe, 8 different nominees that we know and that we've worked with side by side for like 2.5 years to get President Trump elected. So go out. The links are up there. You can vote on them. You get 1 vote per person, and you get you can vote for up to 100 people. And we don't know when it's going to close yet. We don't know whether or not they're going to open back up the nominees, because you can actually nominate people. But I'm of the opinion that this is going to be an ongoing tool, because you know how much Elon loves crowdsourcing and the community note thing and all that. So this is going to be a way for us to get involved and get engaged. So I highly encourage everyone to do that. The other site is policiesforpeople.com, and that one, you can actually put forth policy. You can vote on other people's policies. You can put comments in their policies. If you see something that you know, oh man, they're going to run into a roadblock there, that this is going to happen, you can actually go in there and comment and say, hey, this section, you're going to have a problem. If you do it this way, then you'll be able to get it through, kind of thing. So it's completely our input, and the fact that we get to go out there and vote and be a part of the conversation gives me a lot of hope, because it allows people to get involved with the government without having to like put their whole, you know, all the skeletons in their closet and get vetted, get, you know, just dragged through the mud and all that kind of stuff. Because I think that that's one of the reasons why people are so afraid to get involved, because if you've done one thing wrong in your whole life, you just get completely annihilated, and they'll take your business, they'll take all your friends and family. It sucks. So I think this is a way to engage the American people, have them be involved, tap into their you know, brilliance, and solve problems. And Dr. Angela is one of our nominees, and she's up here as a co-host, so make sure you vote for her. And you've got Bree Doll, she's up there too. We got Denise Aguilar, who's out in California fighting the good fight. Actually, Denise is part of a really cool organization. I'm going to go grab that post so I can talk a little bit about that. And you've got Dr. Sabine and Dr. Stella and Jeff Zink and Lindsay RN. Those of you who know Lindsay, she has been battling very, very vax injured. She's a nurse, and she has been keeping like meticulous data on everything that she's going through. And I think she's going to be a big key to us securing all of the vax injured.
Yeah, I voted for Dr. Angela and everybody else, and it took all of about a minute and a half. So get there, sign up. It takes just, no time at all. Create a username and password, and you go to our site, and you just go right down the line, and you can just vote for everybody, and you just hit on the link, and it takes you right back to where you can vote. You just hit the vote button and go to the next one. That makes it really easy for you. All these people are incredible people. We know who they are. They've been in spaces with us. These people are beloved people who've fought the good fight, in times that have been absolutely painful for them to speak out, speak truth to power, and to give honest advice, when other people cowered and went along with the with basically the government program. And they need to be commended for their bravery and their leadership. And if you can just spend a minute to give them your support, having them in a position that gives input in any way would make things much better for your life.
I mean, definitely have to get all of us smart people in there, because if we have a seat at the table, we can get a lot more accomplished in a short period of time. There is another thing I wanted to bring up. I talked about it in a few spaces. We do have a petition out there calling or letting our current administration and the disgusting bureaucracy, letting them know that we do not consent to them trafficking children from the border. They've lost, over 320,000 children. They're also using our taxpayer dollars to do this trafficking. So that's just another insult to injury. If you think it's just Democrats, you would be wrong. Republicans are funding it. In fact, our Speaker, No Johnson, has funded the NGOs that are directly responsible for trafficking children and putting them in internment camps. He has funded $900 million in 2024, the most that has been allocated to these nefarious projects, if you will. So is both parties, and we need to remember that. We got the link, I'll put it up in the nest. It may already be up there. I don't know. I can't look right now, but it's a petition, takes less than 30 seconds. Again, you can put in your information. You can remain anonymous. You will not get scammed. I am a big proponent of donating my time and money to things that do not spam at me, because I'm spam injured, I'm going to say. So go out there. It's for the kids. You can read it. We had help us write it, but we watched Line in the Sand, and this is Treason, the trafficked episode by Ryan Mata and JJ Carroll, and it is absolutely horrific what these children are going through at the border. They are being raped and trafficked between 10 and 30 times a day. The cartel members have figured out that, you can sell drugs once, you can sell a child or a human being multiple times a day. And some of these children, by the time they reach the age of 18, they have been trafficked 60,000 times. Many of the children are raped to death before they even get to the border. So all of these people that are coming in are being, terrorized, and they are children. So many children. 85% of the women are being raped. At least that with the children. We've got a real humanitarian crisis on our hands, and the more that we ignore it, the bigger the problem is. So we've got to make sure that we're paying attention. I know that it seems like there's so many things that we need to be paying attention to, but this one's at the top of the list, because we can fix this tomorrow if we all look in the direction of what is going on. Cannot ignore this problem away.
And we had a hand up. Well, had a hand up. I don't know where she went, hippy dippy, but we have some breaking news from the Trump transition team. Former Senator David Perdue of the great state of Georgia has been named the ambassador to China. So,
who was that?
David Perdue.
Oh my God.
David who?
Purdue.
Purdue. Georgia.
Former Secretary of Agriculture.
Like Purdue chicken?
So they made him the ambassador to China. Is that a good job or a bad job?
So I actually know Purdue's sister. I live in Georgia. I know her in passing in some political stuff. She's really great. And I really like her. Her politics of her brother kind of could go either way, but I would probably, if I could choose between Purdue and Kemp, I would pick Purdue again.
You're talking about George Kent?
No, our governor is Brian Kemp, K-E-M.
Oh, I'm thinking about George Kent. He's in Ukraine. Yeah.
I would trade Brian Kemp in a heartbeat.
Have you guys seen the picture of the shooter guy that's been all over the internet?
The one that looks like Hillary?
Yeah.
No, it almost looks like very feminine. I thought it was a woman at first.
Yeah.
Of the smiling picture. But somebody said that's not it. It's not the right one, but I don't know.
It's like what to believe and what not to believe.
One of them damn trans dangles.
So I'm kicking around an idea of, and I've got to convince Thinker and maybe Dustin, but tomorrow, kicking around the idea of doing our first, our reinvented civics. A reinvented civics space where we are going to talk about Article 1 and how important balancing the budget is, and how important it is that we understand how our Congress works and what they can and can't do, what they've given away, what they've done wrong. So we're going to kind of go through that and, kind of tie it into the continuing resolution. And I plan on maybe even doing a little intro to crypto space in there as well. Maybe we can roll it in somehow, do some rewarding for answering some questions, because the Thinker, she has all the workbooks and stuff like that. from the Hillsdale Constitution classes as well as Constitution Alive. So look for that tomorrow if I can consider.
One of the most painful problems that we have in Article 1 was the gift of the clause that gives them immunity for speech. And you know, one of our own here has suffered tremendously for that. It's a speech and debate clause. It was designed to to allow them to not make mistakes. I mean, people make mistakes when they speak, and so they didn't intentionally slander somebody or unintentionally slander somebody or some business or something like that when they were in their official capacity as a member of Congress. And that has been turned into a political weapon against not only members of the opposite party, but individual citizens. And that's a problem. And the other thing is that both houses of Congress get to write their own rules. And when they get to exempt themselves from the laws that they write, that's not a good rule. In 1994, when the Republican Revolution took place and the House was taken by the Republicans for the first time in 40 years, that was one of the 10 promises, is that members would live by the laws that they passed. And you wouldn't have the kind of garbage that you have going on now if that were the case. Members voted for a rule that, well, this one managed to stick. The committee chairman would rotate out every 3 terms. So that was a good rule, because before that, committee chairman would be chairman of committees for 20 years. I mean, it was insane. Mr. Chairman meant, you were talking to God in Congress. And so there needs to be basic reform in the rules that these institutions write for themselves. And if they go back to the original rules that were there when the founders were there, it's not too difficult. It's really not. We need to get to a place where people go to Washington, They spend a couple of terms in Congress. They do their duty of public service, and they go home. That they're not there for a career in public service. That they're there to serve their fellow American. And they go back to what they were doing. They go back to their farm. They go back to their business. They go back into the private sector. And they live a happy life with their family. And they let somebody else have their turn to be the representative or the senator. And then we need to repeal the 17th Amendment and get rid of the popular election of senators, because the Senate has become one of the most corrupt bodies in just unthinkable ways. So when we're going through this, and you're looking at the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and then the amendments, you know, you think back to Article 1 and the powers of the legislature. And
so I've got
and what that looks like today versus what it looked like when they wrote it. And how do we get back to 1795?
All right, so I've got two clips to play. One is from Elon about an hour ago. I'm going to play that one, and then I've got another one. But I'm going to be winding it down here so I can go spend a little time with my disgruntled teenager. And so give me just a second, and I'll get those started. And thank you, everybody, for coming. Please post the space. Yeah, thanks to all the streamers on Rumble and Pill.net, QUX.com.
Who wanna lick my pussy? Okay. Who wanna lick my pussy so good? Lick it back and forth, and then roll.
See, this is what happens.
That was nasty.
She's so gross.
Is that what I thought I heard?
I think she was talking about grooming her cat herself.
That was definitely a dude.
Yes, she was talking about grooming her cat. Oh, here comes Rich. He's going to tell us. Oh, now I see what you're saying. Troll.
I'm crying, dude. You were...
People are nasty.
Can't blame me for that.
I don't know. It's just childish, man.
I mean, I call myself George, sir.
Play.
Well, listen, I guess someone's got to be the George Soros of the right. I mean, I'd call myself George Soros of the center, I think. You know, we obviously need to have just the basics. As President Trump rightly said, what we need is the restoration of common sense. We want safe cities. We want secure borders.
That's not the right one.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
We need to stop the war in Ukraine now. If we're bureaucrats had to send their own children to fight in the front line, will they still vote so passionately to support and escalate the war? It's easy to make decisions about the war when you are detached from its everyday reality. When it's someone else's child is fighting when it's someone else who has to face the consequences. Since the beginning of this war, more than 1 million people have been killed or been wounded in the battlefield, including many civilians as well as many soldiers, both Russians and Ukrainians. All these people, they're someone else's children, friends, parents. Keeping the war going, which is what the European politicians want, is completely crazy and inhumane. We need to find a way to stop it now. For more than 2 years, the United States and the European Union have been betting on winning this war in the battlefield. And this strategy has clearly failed. As Ukraine keeps losing its territory slowly every day. We cannot wait any longer. We need ceasefire right now and not more weapons and escalation. Politicians out there, please, before deciding the support of the war, please think, what if it was your children fighting in the front lines?
Isn't that what Trump said about Cheney?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And so that was a Ukrainian guy, lecturing. But this last clip that I'm going to play is what got me really jazzed about doing some civics, because, I mean, who does it better than Charlie Kirk?
My name is Ranger. It's nice to meet you. All right, hello, my name is Ranger. It's nice to meet you both. So I have two questions for you. The first of which is, you were talking about you want an America that fears God. But it's believed to be back to the fundamentals of when this country was started and the Constitution was made, that there's supposed to be a separation of church and state, but it seems you don't believe that anymore.
Well, where does it say that in the U.S. Constitution?
It was written in the Constitution. I don't exactly remember what part it has been written.
It's not, actually. So, and that's okay. I'm going to help you out here. Okay. There's the free expression clause and the establishment clause. So what you're thinking is of the First Amendment. What you're thinking of is that Congress shall make no law prohibiting or promoting the exercise of religion or the free exercise thereof. Now, mind you, the separation of church and state is not in the U.S. Constitution. And that's okay. Not a lot of people know this. It is from a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1803 to the Danbury Baptist.
Yeah, not Mike.
Saying to the church, the government will not come after you. There was no question at the time of the founding that God played a central role in all of our government. In fact, God is there in 4 times mentioned in the Declaration of Independence. And never should we, and you would agree, there should never be separation of morality in state.
But then I have another question, not the second question, but do you believe there should be a separation between those two things, church and state?
Well, it depends on, let's play it out. Do we currently have that? During COVID, the government was able to shut down the church. Should that be allowed?
I mean, I don't believe so, no.
Okay, so the point is that we don't even have separation of church and state because the state was able to tell the church whether or not that you could practice on Easter. Now, that's the standard that they currently have. Do I believe in a separation of morality in state? Of course not. Now, the morality that built the West is the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments is the best rules of life for any society to flourish and to be able to succeed. You shall know no other gods before me. You shall have no other idols. You shall not take the Lord's name in vain. Honor your mother and father. Live long in the land you are in. Honor the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Do not murder. Do not steal. Do not, bear false witness. Do not covet. Do not commit adultery. It's out of order, but that's the 10 Commandments. That those rules for life is what the founders believed, so much so that they're in the halls of Congress and the Supreme Court. That we believe is transcendently transmitted to us, and that when we do not submit to those commandments, our country starts to fall apart.
But if you think about it, most wars when religion gets entangled into a culture and even government, most wars have started because of that.
So that's a talking point that has no basis, and that's okay because a professor told you that. So let's go to the truth. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. What religion did Mao Zedong believe in, the great murderer of China who killed 50 million people?
I don't know.
He was an atheist. What religion did Joseph Stalin believe in, who killed over 30 million people of the Soviet Union?
An atheist.
He was an atheist. So that's 80 million people murdered in 2 countries in just the 20th century that did not believe in any religion. So it's an easy talking point to say that religion causes war, but in reality, it seems that actually totalitarian dictatorships rooted in atheism and a lack of the divine caused more human suffering in the 20th century than not. Adolf Hitler was not a Christian. Adolf Hitler was at war with God and thought he was God and a total maniac. So there is no basis for what you're saying. You might be thinking about like the Crusades or something like 600 or 700 years ago, or the Inquisition. If that's the case, I think you need a better argument because religion actually keeps people sane, free, moral, not towards war and conflict.
But isn't
I love him.
Yeah, that was
Hi, Highlander.
Yeah, just as a point of fact, I'm a Roman Catholic. I don't apologize for it. But during COVID's, and the church, for some reason, seemed to have a lot of inside information. Nothing conspiratorial. It's just since they have a large population of people, they were well informed. And we weren't shut down during COVID's, but they had a lot of restrictions. I know because I was one of the volunteers. We had to wipe down everything. And if you've ever been in a church or pew, we have pews, benches, we call them pews. It's like 6 feet apart. I mean, there was tape everywhere. I know I had to tape it, wipe down everything. They gave away our free books, which the Catholic Church, it donates to charity, but for me personally, it's the first time I got something free. But they never really shut down. They just followed a lot of strict guidelines. And for us hardcore, and I'm sure it's the same for all the other churches, you know, if they were able to stay open, but the churches were able to stay open.
So, sorry. 1 second. Hey, Kim.
Yes.
Mr. 30 Below has his speech going on. You might
Yes.
wanna...
Yes, that's what I'm trying to wrap it up. I see your points. I think that there were some areas where it was, you know, churches were not allowed to be open and some where they weren't. And we do need our churches to stand up and stand on principle and be strong because we've had a lot of weak pastors and we've had a lot of weak clergy that have not helped us at all in this situation that we're in right now. So
if your church closed during COVID, you should find a new church.
yes. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you so much for co-hosting. Dr. Angela, thank you. I'm not here anymore. Chris, always a pleasure. Southern, love ya. Rich, nice to meet ya. Heather, nice to meet you as well. Magna, I see you down there. Thanks, everybody. Lena, Dustin, Kelly. Kelly, always amazing. If you're not following Kelly, you better be because she's got the goods. Mike Mello, always a pleasure to you. And thanks for all the articles that you're writing. If you guys haven't been out to AmericanMission.com and checked out Faces of Tyranny and Faces of Intrepidity, you can really get to know some of the evil people that have been doing some dastardly deeds to us. So we've got lots of good stuff out there for you to read. Check it out.
And Kim?
Yes?
Look for a code soon.
We have our apparel shop. You can get there from our website as well. And if you use the promo code JLaw47, you can get 10% off of our apparel. And everything is American made, ally sourced. Okay. And then we also have a swag store. No discounts right now, but you can get some cool bikinis and shot glasses and all that good stuff and support American Mission. While we sit here and try to educate and entertain all at the same time, which is not easy to do sometimes. And if you want, we'll put the space on the chat. Mr. 30 Below has his Black Ops, which is always an interesting conversation. So if you would like to follow us over there, we'll be heading that way in just a few. Thanks, everybody.